Hey, welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. I'll give you guys a little bit of help. If you are here for the American Horror Story review portion of our podcast, just stay on here and it will pick up right after this intro is done. And if you are here for the Star Trek Discovery review portion of the podcast, go ahead and jump to the 1 hour and 12-minute mark in this podcast and it should pick right up. Thanks for listening. Well, guys, we are back. The Two Dads Review podcast is here. We are ready to discuss this week's episodes of American Horror Story and Star Trek Discovery. And all of you who have tuned in are going to be in for a treat because I kind of like this week's episode of American Horror Story and Corey didn't.
It's not worth the watch, man.
He didn't like it. And so instead of tuning in to both of us shitting on it, I'm going to try to salvage what I liked about it, and Corey's going to continue to take a big old dump on the show, and that's fine.
I really haven't even taken a big dump on the show. I've just not liked it. Like, I just don't understand the hype around it. Like, when I see things that say best American Horror Story ever, I want to, like, lose it, because there's no way.
Yeah, that's somebody drinking the Kool-Aid. This is not the best American Horror Story ever. This is people who are grasping for straws and trying to make something out of what is a barely salvageable season.
Thank you.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying there were some definite portions of this episode that I wasn't like Googling boring stuff because I was bored. Like I was, well enthralled enough, and it may have helped that I was trying to be cool and live tweet it. So. There may be a cool string of tweets to read if you guys scroll back on our Twitter account. It's not like there's a whole bunch to scroll back through. So it's not like we tweet, 400 times a day. So you'll find it pretty easy. Just stop by the Twitter, which is at Two Dads Review. Everything is at Two Dads Review. Google it, search it. The website is twodadsreview.com. If you found us that way, great. That means there are links to us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play Music, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn. You can also go to our YouTube channel, which is also linked there, also titled Two Dads Review. It's just kind of how we roll. So that's where you can find us. So yeah, American Horror Story, Corey. It's episode 6, so you only have 4 more to go.
I mean, I'm gonna ride it out. Like,
we know you are, because no one's saying stop.
Well, yeah, that, but also, like, I mean, I like the American Horror Story franchise enough to like ride out a bad season, and
commendable.
I'll do that. Like, at no point am I gonna get excited about any of it.
You're not losing sleep on Saturday night, like, oh, it's almost Sunday.
Yeah. Like, at no point am I getting super pumped
Tuesday.
Or
excuse me. Yeah, Tuesday. You're not losing sleep on Monday night because it's Tuesday. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. I forget what day of the week it is. This is everyone listening now also knows that our podcast is a day late just because, hey, we're dads and things happen in our lives that don't revolve around a microphone. So sorry. Like if we're tuning in on Thursday looking for our new show. Well, now it's Friday, so deal with it.
I don't think anybody cares.
They do. They all care.
They all care. And they all just felt so scolded by their fatherly figure.
Exactly. Fatherly figures. Remember, if you don't have a dad, we could be you. Now you have 2.
Yeah, but I'm the cool one.
You're the cool dad, right? That's fine. I'm completely okay with you being the cool dad.
I'm basically borderline uncle.
Right, the good uncle, not the other uncle.
Yeah, that's
nobody wants to be the other uncle. Oh man. Okay, so before we get off on that tangent, this episode is titled Midwestern Assassin, and we open up pretty shockingly, but apparently according to media and events of the week for anybody who's listening live, that they actually announced before the show aired, pretty much a day or two before the show is to air. So sometime that weekend, they announced that they were going to do some editing on the opening scene, which is a active shooter scenario in a large crowd. And after the Vegas massacre that happened, the showrunners decided to do a little bit of editing for the live show, but they also put the fully unedited version or untweaked version up on all the on-demand stuff. So anywhere else, if you're watching it live that night, which I watched the live version and then I watched the unedited version to see if there's a lot of difference that I could tell. And it was, I don't know, Corey, I know you didn't watch it live. I didn't notice a whole bunch. I mean, there was a little bit more. There may have been a few more guttural reactions from folks going down there. I know there's one portion of a scene that I don't remember seeing the first time, when the guy's reaching out his hand to her, and he gets shot in the head, and like there's like stuff all over the ground. Like that wasn't in the first night, but I kind of want to
see. That's the one I saw. So like,
you didn't see the edited version, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't even think it was that bad then. I mean,
it
wasn't like there wasn't enough remote similarities other than the fact that there was a person with a gun,
right? And
a crowd.
And I do want to actually bring that up, and I wanted to ask you a question, just your own opinion, because I can, and I'll weigh in on mine as well. What are your thoughts on editing art? Because when you boil it down, TV, media, cinematography, things like that is all of an art form. It's somebody who has an idea and they're putting it out to the public.
Yeah.
What is your idea on editing art around real world situations?
Well, like, what do you mean? Like,
do you think?
Okay, so you have two aspects. You have like the negative propaganda for that, and then you have like the propaganda for. So, are you saying like when
you hear that a show is going to, this has happened before. For instance, another example, because I watch so much television, the show Shooter, which is on, I forget which channel, but it was based off the movie with Mark Wahlberg, and it's on
USA.
Yeah, USA. So Shooter was filmed and ready to go, last fall or the fall before, and they delayed it almost a half a year because of there was a police officer that was like killed by a sniper or whatever, or some sort of long range thing that happened. I remember that's the last time I remember seeing someone saying, "Hey, we're going to hold this show back." Like they didn't release the show till the spring, because of this situation, because of what goes on in the show itself. When they frame the assassination of a government official on the main character. So I've seen it happen a few times here in the recent past. I don't, when we were kids, Corey, which was years and years ago, like I don't remember that being a thing. But once again, like I've said last podcast, TV's different than back in the 90s. Like it's not. You're not showing, mass shootings on television in the 80s or 90s, which someone could probably tweet me and say, yes, there was. Here's a whole bunch of shows that did it.
Well, yeah, but also I feel like in the 80s and 90s, if there was something on the TV that was going to really strike that much of a uproar, it just didn't get aired.
I mean, people didn't even make things back then, really. I mean, if you think about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like anybody that tried, like it would never make it past the powers that be. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like after the quote unquote invention of reality TV, the more, the more realistic, the more everybody wants it.
Well, yeah, exactly. When you can turn on the news and watch things like 9/11, or you can watch, active shooters, I remember the shootout. It was probably in the 90s. It was in the 90s. The shootout in California with the guys who were wearing full body armor and had AKs, and they were just tearing into cops. And there was a whole shootout for like a long time. Like I wouldn't know if it's hours, but it was definitely a lot of minutes.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, like things like that. Like if you can turn on the TV and see that, then a normal TV show that's happy-go-lucky isn't realistic, and people don't want to watch it because they know it's like, that's so fake, I don't even care. Like, I'm not going to watch that.
Well, then I must be in that lone demographic, because like when I turn TV on, like I don't want to think. TV to me should just be a 24-hour comedy. Like True. I live in reality. I don't want somebody to go make a TV show that's more reality than my reality. Like,
or mirrors
I
your
don't
reality
need to,
so much.
yeah, dude. Like, I don't need to know how like a junkie's firsthand experience. Like, I don't care. You know, like, and I don't like the people that watch the shows of like Mouse watches them. Like, you know, this poor sick child that had, I mean, obviously in the show, like, you know, they make it out alive, like, you know, they're going to be okay. But like, I can't watch that remotely for like all of like half a second. And then I'm just like, I'm either grossed out by what affliction they have, or I feel so bad for the poor kid that I'm like, I can't do this, man. Like, I can't actively participate in this. I gotta go get out of here. I gotta go do something else.
Like, I cry enough when the TV's not on. I don't need to cry when the TV's on as well.
Yeah, man. Like, I got my own problems.
Touche. That's very, very true. And you know, I found myself thinking over the past couple of days, like how I really felt about it. And I hope it is for, well, I'll tell you what I had a theory this afternoon. I was like, I wonder if, because there was such a minor edit to it, if it was more of like, we're going to say this and I don't want to accuse them of doing this because it didn't work, so it doesn't matter. But I was like, what if they just said they were going to edit it and they edited out a few seconds here and there just to make noise before the show started, to try to get more to get more people to be like, oh, I wonder what they did, and like watch it.
I doubt it, because American Horror Story has got enough pull. Like, it doesn't need to do some gimmick like that. But then again, like, I wouldn't.
Well, let me tell you.
I wouldn't, given what's going on in the landscape of Hollywood, I would not put it past any exec to do something like that.
Exactly. Now, that being said, when I looked up the ratings and not the ratings, but the viewer numbers, it didn't work. It actually went down. It was like 2.2 million the week before and like 2.15 million this week. So I was like, well, whatever you were trying for, if you were trying to be sneaky and be like, look at us, we're so culturally sensitive to the current things of the day, and we know our show is crazy, but we're going to edit this back some for everybody. It did not pull up any more views. The people are like, yeah, good for them. Let's watch what they got. No one else watched. Less people watched. You can't overcome the writing that is currently appearing on this show. Oh man. So yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good little back and forth. You know, I just wanted to see what your thoughts were, because I don't know if I have a
I don't even know if I answered.
I don't think
we
answered anything. Tweet at us. Let us know if we actually answered the question. It doesn't matter, because I don't have to have an opinion. I don't even know if I know what my answer is, truthfully. That's why I want to know if you had an opinion on it, because a part of me argues one side and part of me argues the other side. Like, I see why they did it, as long as it was for normal, good reasoning. And I also part of me goes, but why? Like,
well, I think it all depends on your medium. Okay. Like, if you're a giant TV show and, like, let's say, and I'll, you know, go with, like, let's say there was some crazy cannibals that ate a family, right? And you just happen to make a TV show where, like, the opening scene is a bunch of crazy cannibals eating a family, and it's like super huge news, and this is like, holy shit, like, yeah, you can probably hold that back, man. Like, you don't need to air that out of respect for the freakish thing that just happened and the rarity that like, I feel like if you air something like that, like, you're just an asshole. Like,
very true.
You're just a dick.
But after seeing both versions, I'm not sure if they edited. I mean, I'm not sure if they didn't do a whole bunch to it. So you had to have that scene. Oh, party foul. I'm leaving that in the podcast too. I heard that.
You should hear
my
that.
God. Welcome to my rookie podcast by my rookie co-host who didn't silence his phone.
Yeah, my bad.
That's fine. It's staying in too. Everybody's going to hear it.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's okay. But yeah. So it's, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. It's there's two sides to everything, as we see. But it's really funny you bring up cannibalism, because we're going to get to that on the Star Trek portion of our conversation later on in the podcast. So stay tuned if you want to hear the Star Trek portion, because there is definitely a little bit of cannibalism talk later on. But just a hot second of it. But they dropped it like out of nowhere. But yeah, we'll get there in about an hour. So So anyway, as we know from our conversation, we open on Kai having a big rally. A bunch of people show up. He's got a bunch of streamers and red, white, and blue, and he's all dressed up in his nice suit. He's, spewing his normal, standard stuff that he screams to the masses. And all you get, you're seeing Ivy. So, all we get is gunfire starting, and everybody starts freaking out and taking cover. And folks are getting shot, and I actually really give Alison Pill, the actress that plays Ivy, I give her credit. It was she did a fantastic job of like that gripping horror of what's going on. Like, I'm not sure how much of, because of what we know later in the episode, I'm not sure how much of that situation we knew was going to happen, or if the cult knew what was going to happen. If we're seeing the fact that she's in the cult, but like still questioning the fact that she's in this cult, because as Allie says later on, she doesn't believe in anything. Like, there's no way she could even be in a cult because she doesn't believe in any sort of, anything like that. So what did you think?
I didn't even put any of that together, man. Like, I just thought like it was,
I mean, she was showing, it wasn't like she was putting on a show for the crowd.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying, like, I wasn't putting any of, like, the behind-the-scenes things together, like, maybe her doubting. I just was like, nah, dude, she's just in the moment, and that's live gun rounds, and those are live people dying by her. you
right,
know?
But, I mean, you would think that she knows about it already, because everybody's there from the cult, too, as well. I don't know
think
if they
so,
were there
because Kai only told her in the closet.
Yeah, but we know that them dumping her in the grave was a ploy. Like, I called it, by the way.
That wasn't a ploy. That was them doing what Kai told them. That wasn't like, that was Kai pulling the strings, man. Like, they weren't on the end on that. Like, everybody else in there thought she was
out on the
AWOL, and then he goes in there and cuts her loose and bangs her and is like, and that's why, she's there.
Cool. No, that's cool. I like that. I like that even better. But we did call it last podcast. I was saying that she was at the window so we find out through the episode that all of her going to Allie was a ploy. That she was doing it on Kai's behalf. In fact, they don't even tell us. They lead us on halfway through the episode, like to the point where I was like, "Oh, damn, I'm wrong." Like, she really is like trying to get out, but I wasn't wrong. They held us out until like near the end, where you see him and her have sex, and he tells her, that you don't have to talk to the cops because you're going to kill yourself. He didn't say it though. He says it very smoothly, but yeah, I was kind of happy to be right on that one.
Yeah, but that whole like her running over to Allie and like, yeah, like I was saying, I don't think the other guys were in on that. Like,
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I'll give you. Kai was like, take her out, dump her in a hole, and come back in here, and then we'll bury her in a second. And then they knew that Allie was going to be coming over.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kai was pulling his psychic alien stuff again, and was like, yeah, in 2 days she'll be here.
Right. So we don't even, and truthfully, at the very opening scene, we don't even know that it was Meadow doing the shooting. All we see is Allie holding the gun and the cops bearing down on her. And I was like, so initial reactions in the first 5 minutes, I was like, I can see that she got here. Like, I can see that this is where she went.
You're like, this makes perfect sense.
I was like, there's 4 episodes left, so I'm not sure who's going to carry the show now, but she's going to jail. So
yeah, at first I was like, all right, so they got rid of one of the other main characters. Where's this show going?
It's going to be a lot of man-on-man sex.
Oh yeah.
So that's how they end it. That's how they end it, to cut to the opening creepy credits. And then they pretty much dump us right back into the end of last episode with Meadow at the window of Allie and Ivy's house, and being, telling her there's a cult, everybody's in it, your neighbors are in it, your wife is in it, all that stuff. But she doesn't say the therapist. Does she say the therapist? No, she doesn't, because she still trusts him for some unfrickin' known reason. She still trusts him through this episode. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, he's just creep.
Who said the therapist?
Nobody did. I don't think she. Meadow didn't say your therapist. She said everybody else, your neighbors, your wife, all that stuff. She didn't say the therapist though, which I'm not sure the cult even knows the therapist is in on it.
Yeah, I don't think the cult really knows that.
They don't,
or at least the cult that we see with Kai, because I mean, obviously this cult is bigger than we know. Like, I think we're only seeing his inner circle. Like, I think he's hired like other people to do other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, somebody on one of the Facebook pages the American Horror Story Facebook pages that I frequent had an idea that the therapist is actually the leader of the cult, and Kai is just one of his, lieutenants. That's why, and that would actually play into what you were just saying, that he has cells all over the place.
Well, I mean, that would probably be. I mean, he's Kai's older brother, so that makes sense.
It does make sense. And he does control Kai. He's the one that Kai went to would do whatever he was going to do with his parents.
Yeah.
So, so they drag her away. They drag Meadow away. Allie hangs up on Ivy, and then of course the therapist calls her right back, and she's like, "How did you?" And then you see Allie go from being scared to like Rambo Allie. Like, I actually, the scene of her, like all the scene of her, like going around her house, like locking every door and locking every window. I kind of overlaid that with like the scene of like Rambo getting dressed in the movies, like where you see him like tie his headband and lace his boots and put his big ass knife in the sheath. I'm like, that's kind of what it felt like to me. Like, she's like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm locking this shit down.
So she's the new John Rambo.
Only just barely. But it's like when you can see her face to go from scared to like, I'm gonna fucking get somebody. Like, that's when I'm like, yeah, girl. I'm like, get it.
Yeah, no,
let's go.
I definitely like her character when she is more not questioning her insanity and realizing that, all right, maybe I'm not so crazy, and being a little more assertive. Like, she's way, way better. She could cry all day as long as she's like putting some effort into it.
Right, exactly. So she heads over. So she gets snatched. After talking to Dr. Vince, where he's like, you should just go lay down and get some sleep tonight. And she's like, yeah, fucking right. And so she heads over to Meadow and Harrison's house, and she sneaks in. I mean, with the scene, like the picture of her like crawling in the bathroom window with like her fucking knife. I was like, go ahead, man. I was like, that works.
Yeah. She's like, I don't care about the law anymore
right.
At all.
Right. And then so she snatches the keys easily from the guy's pants pockets, because they are deep into each other, like roughly, like they are making some. In fact, it reminded me. This shows how old I am. It reminded me of the old Adam Sandler skit from his CD, "Sex or Weightlifting." Like when she came in the window, I was like, oh, it's like that sex and weightlifting gag, like from the Adam Sandler thing. Like, that's old school. Like, if anybody here on this podcast, because I know the age of the folks that listen, thanks to analytics. Like, if you are 30 or younger, you need to go on YouTube and Google sex or weightlifting and Adam Sandler and just listen to that skit, because it is fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of his good ones.
Yeah, back when he was funny.
It's still funny. I don't care what anybody says.
He just got all that. He's just rolling around that Netflix money, man.
Yeah, dude, he earned it.
Yeah,
I can do whatever the hell he wants.
Hey, every movie he puts out is a hit when it comes to production costs versus
dude,
what
like
it brings
he's
in.
A genius. He makes like a $5 million movie, and then he turns around and banks like 30 mil off it every time.
Right, and he gets guys like all the ones where it's what's the ones that has like all the old school funny guys in it? I think Chris Rock and David Spade and. What's that one? Grown Ups. Like those guys dude, work for like cars. Like he buys them a car. He's like, just come be in this movie, dude. Just 2 weeks of filming, we'll just fuck around and we'll make a bunch of $1 million. Who cares? So she snatches the keys anyways and heads to break Meadow out of the garage that she is being held against her will, with giant air quotes. I do a lot of air quotes on this podcast. I'm not sure I'm getting this podcast thing right. Like, so she's being held against her will. And so she's like, she breaks. I mean, and she's like, and she still like doesn't necessarily trust her, because she's like, she's like, just shut the fuck up. Like, get your, we got to go. And of course, Meadow grabs her bag that is like on top of the heaviest toolbox ever and like pulls it down and it comes clattering to the ground. And, you know, they lock the door and they run. And,
oh yeah, I was like, dude, she did that shit on purpose.
Oh yeah, and that's when I watched it the second time, I was like, how did I must have been tweeting when that happened, because like, how did I not see that was absolutely on purpose? Like, let me make some noise. Yeah, it's, you know, once again, I'm glad that I was right. I feel bad partially because I was fooled through half of the episode that she was actually like on her side. I can't tell when Meadow's like being just, because I can't tell how goofy the character is in real life and when she's like just playing goofy, because literally the next scene they head straight to the butchery on Main because they know it's a safe place. They, you know, they're closed on that day, so no one's gonna be in. And like as she's like setting the alarm, turning the alarm off, like Meadow grabs like a candle and like stuffs it in her purse, like steals it off the table. I was like, oh, you're so fat. Like, however that actress is playing that character, it's hilarious. Like I can't tell. I was like, kudos on getting me on that.
Yeah, I feel like her character is, that's just how that person is in real life, and she just happens to be an actress.
Right, she just plays herself everywhere. Yeah, that could possibly be it. So at the butchery on Main, Ivy gets the chance, you know, Meadow, or not Ivy, excuse me, Allie sits Meadow down, and she's like, you fucking tell me what's going on. We got time. Sit down and tell me. So, I mean, Allie's still just going, you know, full Rambo on everybody. So, you know, she gives her she explains Kai's mission. She gives her gives her all the details. She verifies something else that we had thought about a few podcasts ago. She says that Allie wasn't the only target. They were doing it all around town. Did you catch that? Yeah. And I was like vindicated. I was like, I've got all kinds of stuff this season. Like I got it. Like I got
yeah, you're not the only one.
Right. I never get anything right, which means that's how badly written this is, because if I can get it, anybody can get it. We find out like that the protesters were paid, like Kai hired them. That's why they responded the way they did to Kai. It wasn't, they probably weren't even cult members. They're probably just, you know, local actors that need some cash. You know, hey, come do this after, you know, be these protesters, you know, this it'll be fine. And when I tell you guys to shush, just shut up, and then here's your money.
Yeah, he just went to like the 7-Eleven or the Home Depot or something and just snagged people.
Yeah.
Got some day workers and was like, let's roll.
Right. We got some shit to do. Let's go. Here's how you say, you know, murderer in English.
Yeah.
So, she tells her that Ivy's part of it, and this is when Allie's like, Ivy's not a follower. Like she wouldn't even be in this kind of thing. And we learn later why Ivy has decided to follow, which is really cool, which is something else that, you know, it answers one of my questions from last week, which was kind of cool, just that they answered it for me. We'll get there in a minute though.
No, you're not going to tell us now?
No, not yet, because we don't get there yet. We get there with the Pinky stuff.
It's going to make you wait.
I'm going to make you wait. Listen to the whole podcast. Just listen to it. So we get a flashback to like Meadow is drawing like on her sketch pad, and I can't tell if she's designing the masks or if she's just doing art of the mask, but if she's the one that designs the mask, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think she's the one. Nah, because I think if you... Whatever, doesn't matter. Some previous episode when they were all first sitting around on the couch, like she was sketching them and he was like, oh, those are great. And those like ended up becoming their main mask. So I think she's the designer behind them all. But
you think they're making
that's an open market. That's an open market now. Yeah.
Yeah, that job needs to be filled now because, you know. But yeah, so she's the artist and Kai is using his apparently alien powers. We're going to go with alien powers because none of this shit would happen as fast as it does to any of these people. We've said that every week now. So yeah, you're right. He uses his alien powers on her to, she talks, he's making her fall in love with him, and someone just left my front door. That's nice. I'm sure everybody heard that. This is great. All this is going in the podcast. I don't care. Your phone, my front door. This is great. So Kai's, he's making her fall in love with him. He's telling her that she's, his everything. and she's all happy and I think this is where they show the flashback of her. She's the one that killed the councilman, and like when they're back in the van, like after the kill, he like makes out with her and tells her that she's all kinds of perfect and everything.
You almost cut his head all the way off.
You almost cut his head all the way off. You're so amazing. I was like, that's a compliment.
Yeah,
that's like those jeans look nice.
Yeah. Damn, baby. I like the way you cut that head.
I like the way you cut that guy's throat and almost made his head, I like the way you made that man into a Pez dispenser. Nicely done, baby.
Yeah.
But then he fucks up royally because he uses the exact same lines on Ivy, and Meadow overhears him doing it. And that's right when we see her. We're right back, so we're doing a whole bunch of time jumping back and forth, flashbacking. So she sees him talking to Ivy about that, and that's what she's like, this is stupid. I'm gonna fucking leave, and the two guys block her from leaving the room, and they tie her up.
I like how
Go ahead.
I like how What's-His-Face is just like full blown just turned on her. He's like, I know we're in this cult together, but I got a new gay man, and all the bullshit we've been through together, I don't even fucking care anymore.
Right. Yep. And so they tie her up and then later on toss her into the grave. He hates her guts, like hardcore. And which is right. They don't know anything else. After tossing her in that grave, they know nothing else. They don't know that Kai's already turned her and she already has her mission, her end all be all mission. Once again, I'm not sure. I know she hasn't had sex in a long time, but I'm not really sure one time while someone's whispering in your ear is going to make you like be okay with shooting him, wounding him and killing yourself. Cause he tells her the whole plan, not verbatim. I need to be assassinated is what he says. And then he tells her it'll be our little like eternal secret. I think is what he says.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, that's dark, buddy.
But like, you got to remember though, like she's already in love with him. So, and like,
but she literally was just. She was just already mad at him. Like that. Like that's what doesn't make sense to me.
No,
like
but she wasn't mad at him. Like, oh, I'm done with
lover
you.
Mad.
She was just scorned lover. Like that wasn't I'm done with you, man. That was like, oh, as soon as you reel that bait in a little bit more or give me a little bit of attention, I'm right back to where you were. Now granted, I'll give you, I don't know how much a quick dick in the back of a storage closet or whatever the hell they were in like can really convince me to kill myself immediately, but like I'm going under the impression that like one, he has alien powers, and two, that like she was genuinely head over heels, like and you got to remember all these people are unstable as it is, so and there's your cult like I got him to commit suicide for me reference, like they did it for me. Right.
And it can't happen that fast. I will stick firm to that. And that's why this show is still, this season is still a little bit garbage. A lot of bit garbage. But yeah, the writing is garbage. Not the people, not anybody in it, just the writing. Just the writing is garbage. I want to make sure I make that clear definition. I don't need hate tweeting from any actors.
I doubt we're even on their radar, but then again,
we have been.
I know we have been before.
Miss Sarah Paulson, shout out. We love you. I love you even better when you're on Rambo mode. Love it. So, anyways, back to this story. So we're at the council debate, like the city council position debate. Kai is doing his normal grandstanding and his fear mongering, and someone in the crowd, she's like, bullshit. And that's how she announces herself for the race, which is fantastic. Like, I hope that if I ever run for anything, that's how I start out my campaign. It's just in a crowd, just being like, bullshit.
just a big old bullshit. All right, you know what? I've had
I'll
enough.
do this.
I'm in this. I'm in this.
Which is literally what she did, and a little bit more better speaking. Oh man. So she tells him that, like, even though he's talking about all these crazy events that have happened, that crime is down in the town, significant numbers in the past year and significantly in, like, 3 decades or 2 to 3 decades. So she's like, I don't, yes, the people who need to be caught who are doing these things, but if they're outliers. And, he says, well, ma'am, I love the faces of, I love Evan Peters and the faces that he gets to portray of one character. So you have like Crazy Kai, you have like Sexy Kai, and then you have like my hair in my man bun, like in a nice suit, like his like smile face Kai, which I just love. Like when he puts that on, like his like normal everyday person face.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see Kai's sexy face ever again though, because
you want to see his.
There was a lot of like up close and then just like him talking, and then all of a sudden like.
You looked into his eyes for his vinegar strokes. You've seen into his soul.
Whoa, come on, man. I was like, that's twice this season you've got me.
Right. Oh, yeah. Quit making me look at guys' vinegar strokes. That'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then we get another flashback. We get the day after the election. Ivy's freaking out to Winter about the guy they chained up in the basement of the abandoned house, and he was there at the polls with no arm voting, and he's gonna this is when Winter first introduces her we see her first meet Kai, and he's like, sit down, and he's like, are you scared? And of course she's like, no, I'm not scared, I'll do the pinky game. And so we get some more so this flashback has a flashback in it. Jesus.
No, at first she was like, there's no way I'm doing this. She was like, I'm not doing that. And
then that's right. Because then he's like, well, then what are you going to... You're right. He tells her that, well, what about the guy?
Yeah, then he's like, then he calls her on all that shit. And he's like, well, what about the one-armed guy that you guys fucking tied up?
Which really answers... So my question of last week was like, how are these two people in the same cult? It doesn't make sense because he would know that she did it if, all this, that, and the other. But... it wasn't a cult thing that Ivy did. It was just her on her own with Winter. And then she came to the cult, and the dude doesn't know it's her at all. Like, so he doesn't know it's her. So that's good. So that's how they can actually, Ivy just has to choke that shit down. Like, sorry, like you can't be upset.
Really? Because I could have swore they took their mask off.
I thought that they didn't have their masks on when they knocked him out. I'm not sure whose face he saw. I did not go back and watch that episode to find out. Like, I don't, because they had their masks on when they were talking to him in the basement chained up. So if he'd already seen your faces, why are you masked up now? I don't think he saw them when they knocked him out.
Gotcha.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not watching that episode again. I'm not scrolling through that shit to find it again. I know they had the masks on in the basement and then left. So I don't think he knows who they are. So during the Pinky game, Kai asks her what she's the most scared of, or what fills your heart with dread. I have it written down right here. And she says like Trump. He's like, no, go deeper. And she balks, and then he freaks her out, and she says, the sight of lying in bed with my wife is like what fills me with dread the most. And he's like, why? And I was like, boy, this got deep and dark real quick.
Yeah, man. Like these people just give up their innermost secrets to him, like just,
right away,
just like that, man.
Alien powers.
I'm like, damn, man. Like, I get it. He's supposed to like have some kind of insight into the human psyche, but damn, dude, this guy's like a fucking skeleton key for humans.
He's something, all right. That's for sure. Yeah. So, like I said, once again, unbelievable how quickly these folks just turn on him. But she also has the fear of going to jail if she doesn't tell him what he wants to, everything he's saying. And if he can figure out she's lying or there's more to go, she's going to give it to him. Because she even says, I didn't mean that. He's like, yeah, you did. Now tell me about it. And so we get a flashback within that flashback of when Oz was born. And we find out that Allie was the birth mother because Ivy couldn't carry her because of endometriosis. And, there was, there's just a scene of, the baby's hungry, and Allie wants to feed him, and she's like, maybe you can pump and I can feed him. She's not going to want a nipple if she has a real thing. I mean, it was just like, and she calls him my baby. And, that I know that would drive people nuts. So Ivy just hates her deep for that. And then we find out that he wasn't weaned off the breast until like he was 3 years old.
That's
my
okay.
son. My son and I could have a full conversation when he was 3. That's creepy. I'm sorry if we have a bunch of hippies that listen to this podcast, and I'm so sorry. But if he can ask for it out loud, he don't need to have it. So that's my parenting tip. Parenting tip from one of the two dads. If he can ask for it out loud, he doesn't get it like that.
You hear that? So when he says please for food now, he doesn't get fed.
Hey. Just
no,
saying.
the nipple thing's weird. Like, at first when I was watching that scene, I was like, okay, she said my baby. Who hasn't said my baby being a parent? No big deal. And
I would think the situation is a little bit different though when it's two mothers.
Not really. How is it any different?
Well, you would say our baby. I mean, my baby. I mean, it gets on that.
Yeah, okay,
really,
you're telling me you have never once looked at either one of your children and said my baby?
No, but it's different because when I say my baby, I mean my baby, but I didn't carry it. I didn't have the option of carrying any of my children. When it's like, I think the dynamics, you cannot compare. The dynamics are not the same.
Dude, using the phrase my baby is exactly the same. you have chose, and in that relationship, she knew that she couldn't carry the baby. Saying my baby has no bearing on it. It wasn't like she was sitting there like grabbing Oz going, give me my baby. She was just like, let me have my baby. Like, you saw her hand. She even did the dumb parenting baby hands, like where their wrists and fingers don't work in coordination, but like they're overly excited to see their kid.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay.
No,
and then when she was weaned, or Oz got off the boob at 3, that's when I went, oh, this has been going on for like a while. This wasn't just like that one incident, like when she was calling out the my baby thing. I was like, damn, dude, you want to kill your wife for that? Like, I feel like you might need to dig even deeper because there's something else going on there.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and she's like, it's better for his immune system for him to stay on the breast until 3. It's like, man,
which apparently is true, but I'm just saying, you're right. Like, at a certain point, you gotta kind of analyze the situation. Like, it's just
Agreed.
not needed. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not cool or not wanted. Like, that's your own thing. But you're right. Like, if your child can go, hey, can you make me a steak well done?
And by the way, or
medium rare. Like, can you? You don't need to be breastfeeding them anymore.
Exactly. She and you're right. It's not just little things, because she also mentions like all of Allie's phobias drive her nuts. And of course, the topper of all of them is, what the straw that broke the camel's back was her voting for Jill Stein.
Jill Stein, man.
Which, if you go to the Two Dads Review Twitter account right now and scroll through the live tweet, I made an official apology for all, as a member and officially for all American Horror Story fans. We want to apologize to Dr. Jill Stein. We are so sorry. Voting for you should not cause anybody this much turmoil. Because I feel like the Jill Steins got shit on more this season than Trump has.
Oh yeah, like they haven't uttered they've uttered his name.
They said it in this episode, yes.
Yeah, but has it at no point been other than like what
the opening one
anyone says on a regular basis that dislikes Trump or
right?
No, it hasn't been. You know what I'm saying?
They have not. No, they have not gone at him directly, which I'm not sure is smart or unsmart, because if you were to attack him directly, he will definitely fucking tweet about it, and you may get more viewers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they are definitely, I almost feel like you did this season to make this season is a political statement. That's all this season is. Like I said, I still think it's a rush job. I still think that everything else was already written for the other seasons. And they were like, no, time out. Change gears. We're doing this. Write this fast. But yeah, they're not going.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. But like, they can't have a you can't have a political statement and try to your political statement be down the middle.
No, I wouldn't say. Are you saying that it's down? That the show is still down the middle?
I'm saying it like from what? Okay, no, I definitely think the show is left leaning. If you want to give it a left or right side,
right? But it's definitely not showing any side in a positive light.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like that is. Like, that's their middle. They're like, oh, we're going to be bad on both sides. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're going to do a show like that, then, like, and especially given the political climate that we're in now, make a fucking stance.
Right. Take a side.
Yeah.
Take a side. You're right, because you're right.
If you're going to come up and claim that you're going to have this big political show, then, like, dude, then come out with your fucking best foot forward and argue your side via television show.
Right. But I guess, and I agree with you. I feel like I do think it's been very down the middle, saying neither side is right, which is fine. But so you're trying to tell us all to get along? Is that what the show is trying to tell us? Like, hey, everybody, we may have differing views on certain things, but in the long run, we're all down the middle. Like, we're all pretty much lining in the middle. Like, I don't know. Like, once again, what you're trying to tell me is not coming across in your shitty writing. So I don't know. But yeah. Any more waxing philosophical you want to do, or shall I move on?
No, I'm good, man.
You're good. Okay.
Yeah, there was my piece.
This episode of the American Horror Story portion is going to be longer, just because we break off into some segues and some offshoots. That's okay. That's how it works. What people tune in for. So let's see. After the Pinky stuff, we get back in real time, current day. Allie takes Meadow to Dr. Vincent's office because she trusts him, because I don't fucking know why. And she's like, stay here, interview her, document it. I need this. Like, this is what we're going to need for later on, because she has the whole story. So then she's like, I'll be back in a couple hours. And she heads off, and she heads to, the lady's name from the debate is Sally Kefler. I figured if I felt like we needed to say her name, because she was an awesome character for her short stint on the show. I thought she was pretty cool.
Yeah. Why wouldn't she just take her there? Right?
I don't know. Because it doesn't further the plot.
Touché.
Because she has to get away and get the gun, because she's, exactly. And the worst thing was it was Allie's idea to take her there. And even when she comes back, which we'll talk about in a second, the doctor's like, even if, if you're looking at it at face value, not for what we all know is third person omnipotent viewing the show, he's like, I can't keep her here. She's not a prisoner. Yeah. Like, if she wants to leave, she can go. I'm not going to jail because you said, hey, keep this lady here.
Yeah, that's, but I like how Allie was like, are you, what? No. Like, really? That's a thing? Huh? Like, you could just see it on her face. Like, how dare you fucking let this bitch go that I kidnapped?
Right, exactly. But even then, when she's dropping her off, Allie is so steadfast and so, like, she's still in, like, Rambo mode. We're going to call it Rambo mode from now on, because I'm praying by the end of the season, she's killing everybody in this cult. Like, just taking them out, like, ninja style. And then she
goes on SNL because she heard our thing, and she does a Rambo skit.
Yep. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep. Trademark. I should email it to myself, so it's now my idea, and it's trademarked. I don't know how that works. Supposedly, if you can email yourself something and you say it, it's your idea. Intellectual property and everything.
Oh, you're trying to put an IP on that?
Maybe. You never know. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the people of Rambo would probably be like, so...
Hey, excuse me, wait a second.
What's up there, brother? Just was strolling through your town.
I believe you didn't make that up.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you took two things that someone else made up and put them together.
Mash up. That's all kosher. We're good. Okay, so anyway, she's at Sally Kefler's house, knocking on the door at whatever goddamn hour of the night it was. And, Sally immediately rolls to her desk drawer, pulls out her revolver, and I was like, nice. I was like, I was like, I know she's not going to make it. You know, in your head, you're like, there's no way he's going to let you live through the night. But I was kind of hoping she was going to take one of them out, like before she went down. But anyway, so before we get to that part, you know, Allie's like, hey, you know, I saw you on TV, and then she drops the restaurant card. She's like, I own the butcher on Main. Maybe you've been there. And she's like, oh, I'll open the door. You have the only real espresso in town.
Yeah, that's what I looked at my wife and I was like, damn, that woman just opened the door for coffee.
If you ever wonder like if you're how powerful of a drug caffeine is.
Yeah, if you're going to answer the door with a gun, but you let someone in with coffee, like your fucking priorities are still wrong.
Says the guy who drinks coffee at midnight.
Hey, but I'm not letting some stranger in my house because they have coffee. I'll be like, no, go away.
She's pretty sure she could take her. I'm sure if it was you or me banging on the door saying, we you know.
I don't even want to let you in like fully lit in the middle of the day, man. I'm like, nah.
It does take a little bit of knocking to let me in your house whenever I come over. So you're right. I do understand that. So this is what's really sad. This scene is actually sad to me a little bit because Allie's explained to her everything and she's like, yeah, I fucking believe you and she goes through a whole list of all the past cult leaders and what they, you know, what brought them to power. Like whenever, you know, certain groups are threatened, this kind of stuff always happens. And to see like Allie's reaction, like, oh God, like you believe me. Like I don't have to convince you. You absolutely believe what I'm saying.
Dude, that's how I felt when I went to the doctor.
Explain.
Okay, so, you know, I got gastroparesis and whatnot. And like
I know, but no one else knows.
Okay, so I have gastroparesis and I went to a bunch of doctors. And, you know, everyone I talked to was like, yeah, it's just something you got to kind of live with and da-da-da-da-da. And like would try to prescribe some medication. And then I finally found that specialist guy. Then like all he does is concentrate in gastroparesis. And like I went and talked to him and he was like, oh yeah, dude, this is that and this is that. And I was like, oh, you know what I'm talking about. I was so happy. So I imagine that's how she felt.
I finally found my unicorn. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So they have a conversation. You know, did she roll up a joint or did she just roll up her own cigarette?
I have no idea.
She's probably liberal. I mean, she's probably on the liberal side, so it may have been a joint. But I just thought it was just cool. Even if it was a normal cigarette and she's doing an old school roll of a cigarette, like I was like, oh, I like you a lot now. Like you are awesome.
Well, at least like, if you're going to smoke, you're going to do it cool.
Right. You're going to do it cool. So yeah. So they had this great scene where Allie's like, someone finally believes me, you know, and she's like, yeah, we'll take him down together. You know, let's go back and get Meadow. Maybe we'll do a press conference or something. And then like, things start busting through windows, and Sally Kefler, she heads straight for her gun, and Allie, I love her. She's like, I know when to GTFO. Like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Like, I'm gone. Like, she takes off. She immediately goes and finds cover in a bathroom somewhere down a hall. And I was like, way to go. Way to not stand around and be, like, frozen in fear. Like, she took off.
Yeah, at least you had a response.
And truthfully, that's showing her I love that you hate this show because I'm trying to pull so much shit out of it. That's showing, I mean, because we love Sarah Paulson, she's showing her growth as a character. Like her character is like, her initial responses to these things was freezing. You know, her fight or flight or freeze response was always freeze. But now she's like, nope, I know how to get out of here. Like I know when there's no waiting around to see what's coming. I'm out. Because she was like, even when the first glass broke, she's like, they're here. And she takes off.
Yep. She knew what was up, man.
She knew what was up.
She's definitely not going in any closets or anything without flicking the lights on, you know?
I mean, she still ended up being in a bathroom that she could have been killed if it wasn't Ivy that came down the hall. But we'll get there in a second. Because the cult surrounds Sally. She's like, I dare one of you fuckers to move because I want to make an example of you. And she just she got all badass, but then nobody moved. She didn't, you know, it wasn't one of those, I mean, you could have taken one of them out. Like you I don't know, in that same situation, which is hard to put yourself in, but like, I'm not living through the night. So I'm going to shoot one of you sons of bitches in the face. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, dude. If that was me,
I got 6 chambers. I got 6 rounds. Actually, it was probably 5 for that revolver. I got 5 rounds. Each of it's going to find one of your ugly faces, like before I get tackled.
Yeah,
and
dude,
before I back myself up to a window.
As soon as they came in the house, I would have shot one of them.
Yeah, you're in a clown mess with an axe. Like, there's no, like...
Yeah, there's no friendly intent needed. Like...
Right, there's you've broken into my home. I don't have to explain it to the cops. I can be like, look, there's a clown mask and an axe, and my window's broken. Like...
Yeah,
this isn't the Chappelle show. This isn't like, let's sprinkle some crack on him and get out of here.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't believe me. I didn't invite this horrific thing into my house just so I could shoot it.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Like, yeah,
and even then, it's their word against mine. I don't understand
why she wasn't firing off rounds immediately.
Agreed. You are on the same page that my right wing gun toting ass is. Like, you come in my house, it's game over. Like, all I got to worry about is how I get blood out of carpet.
Hey man, I'm pretty all laid back about everything these days. But
until you get in my house.
You come into my house with intent. Yeah, fuck that, dude. I'll shoot the shit out of your ass.
Exactly.
I will go get my gun. Well, actually, I would already have my gun, and I will shoot the fuck out of an axe-wielding clown coming into my house.
I don't kill you dead.
Yeah, I don't care where you stand on guns on that, man. Anybody is like axe-wielding clowns breaking into my house. You're like, damn. I either have a gun or you're going, damn, I wish I had a gun.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I wish I had something to do something with.
Yeah, it's an axe-wielding clown. I want full-on body armor.
So they overpower her because she backs herself into where there's another door in her home. And they get her down on the ground and Kai reveals himself. And I actually went to flashback to the scene in the debate because I wanted to go, because she's so cool. I wanted to make sure I caught her quote to him when they shook hands and they were saying they were whispering to each other. And she tells him when she shakes his hand, she says, "A young man's certainty is also his burden, and I'm going to relieve you of both."
Yeah, it was the coolest fucking thing I heard in a long time.
I wrote that down. In fact, that was one of my live tweets. I wrote that down, and I was like, #millennials. Like, you need to write this shit down.
You're like, I can't wait to use this on my teenage son.
Right. That's being saved to my notes. I'm gonna make sure I pull that up in about 10 years. We'll be good to go. Yeah. So that being said, while they have her restrained and Kai is writing her suicide note on Facebook, he's like, "Man, you are old." And I was like, "Whoa, bro. Like, Two Dads Reviews got a Facebook page. Like, don't be calling it that old. Like, there's people on there still. Shit." He says a quote that is very pertinent to the current situation that we are living in. He says, "The future will be filled with beautiful idiots who just want to feel." And I'm going to let that sink in just for a second. What does that quote speak to you? What does that tell you, Corey?
Oh, well, it's just like...
You want me to say it again?
No.
Okay.
No, I got it.
I'm like, were you?
I mean, if you're really happy about it, you can just go ahead, man, get it out.
The future will be filled with beautiful idiots who just want to feel, and I was like, wow. I mean, it was just one of those. I was like, those are the kind of things that when you're in the writer's room, they spent an hour and a half on that sentence, and then like 25 minutes of the rest of the show. Like when they were writing it, like they were like, "I want to say this and I want to say this, and somehow we're gonna get that shit, and we're gonna put 55 more minutes into that shit. Let's shoot a crowd of people. Oh wait, we gotta edit it now. Fuck." So, yeah, I just there are certain aspects of this show where they're like, listen to what this guy is saying. Like, you've got to look past your feelings sometimes. You know what I mean? You've got to look at the facts and what's going on in the world. You can't just want your safe space and your stinking, bubble of protection. Like, I'm happy in my little bubble. You can't, that's not the way the world works. So, I don't know. Just one of those cool quotes. That's all.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
I did like it. I liked it a lot.
It's like, to me, it's like basically in the show, you know when you're like, you think you can write or you think you can do a song or something like that, and you're like learning how to play the guitar, maybe, you know, whatever. But like you have that brief moment of genius, and you're like, oh, and you can never replicate it. That was it right there. Like
right. The one night when I was in the one night when I was in the barracks, and I was like a half a bottle of Bombay Sapphire into the evening, and I could play the Flogging Mollies on my guitar really, really well. Like, and then I could never do it again. That's exactly, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, like you hit the pinnacle for that split moment, and you're like,
exactly.
Yes!
If I could maintain that level of drunkenness when I was younger, and just continue that, I could just have toured with them. It'd been great. Whole new aspect.
That's what makes like an exceptional musical talent different from the rest of us, is like they can hit that blissful moment and then stay there and then carry it out for the next 40 years, you know? And then every so often they have like an up or down and they end up in the news. But for the most part, they run that happy medium, that permanent bliss.
Exactly. So yeah. So anyways, they kill poor Sally. She has a short stint in the show. But she was fantastic. And she went out like a boss because she was spitting in his face, and she's like, killing me. At some point, her resolve, she's like, killing me won't change, you know, what's going to, you know, the way people think, stuff like that. So she was
basically saying like, you may get rid of me, but eventually everybody will catch on to you.
Right. And so as they're leaving, we know Ivy wears the, which by the way, her mask is super cool because it's an elephant on one side and a donkey on the other, which is like, I mean, you can just beat me over the head so much with the symbolism, but I love that her mask is that. And
because we were trying to figure it out, and I was like, that's Ivy. I was like, that has to be her. I mean, just judging by the frame alone, that has to be her, but like no one else could wear that hat.
Correct.
Or mask, should I say mask?
Right. Absolutely. I just think her mask is super sweet.
Yeah, no, they all look cool. Like, all of the masks look cool. Even the weird one with, like, the baby hands coming out the front of it. Like,
what? Which one is that?
It's the one with the pentagram.
Oh, the one the news reporter wears?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's baby hands in it? Now I gotta go look at that again.
Yeah, like, if you look at the arms that are coming off the front of it, like, they're little baby arms.
That's creepy. Okay, I'll have to go back and look at that one. I just noticed
like,
the pentagram
to me,
and there's, like, holes.
Like, yeah, like, it's a creepy mask. It's one of those things that, like, if you look at it in slow motion, you're like, man, that's... Or in a still frame, you're like, that's really stupid. But as soon as it's in motion, you're like, that is terrifying. I hate everything about it.
I just peed a little.
Yeah, makes my voice get high.
Nice. So yeah, they shoot her. Ivy goes down the hallway checking because, you know, I don't know if she's supposed to be looking, if she knew that Allie may be there. I'm not sure what she was doing, but
no, she was like, I better kill someone so these guys believe me.
Yeah, exactly. But so she hears her in the room. She opens the door. Allie is cowering, but then yes, she's cowering, so I'll give her that. But then she turns and faces the person and then realizes she's like, Ivy? And so she could tell by her frame, too, that it was her. Or, you know, and then Harrison in his mask hollers for them to come on. And so she just closes the door on her. So that was pretty, you know, she may hate her, but she still, to a certain point, loves her or at least doesn't want to see her die.
I think she wants her dead. She's just too much of a pussy. Like, she won't do it herself.
Very true. I'll go with that.
Yeah, like I genuinely think she, like, after what she said, like, I think she hates her wife, but like, she won't do anything about it. Like, but if Kai went in there and put an axe in her head, she would be like, ah, cool.
Yeah,
you know,
cool. I get my boy.
Yeah,
it's whose baby is it now, bitch?
Yeah. My baby now.
So to round it out, we've kind of already talked about it. Allie leaves the home, goes back to the psychiatrist. She's like, "Where's Meadow?" And he's like, "I had to let her go." And then he starts telling her, "I think you're hallucinating. I think you should check yourself in." And as she leaves the office, she's just like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, she's like, "I'm done with you, man. Fuck off."
Like, so she's definitely not on his side anymore, whether she believes he's in the cult or not, because she doesn't know. She knows that she can't trust him anymore. In her mind, realistic people are like, you're right. You can't hold somebody prisoner just because I'm on my word. So you're right. But she's like, I can't trust you, which is good because in the long run, she doesn't need to trust that son of a bitch. She needs to trust nobody. DTA, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Don't trust anybody. That's all. And then the final scene. So we find out. So the final scene is back at the rally. We see Allie is looking for Meadow, and she sees her in the crowd. She hollers out to her, and then we finally see that Meadow is the one doing the shooting. We see her shoot the person in front, that's in between her and Kai, and her and Kai make eye contact, and she shoots him in the leg. Personally, if my trained assassin was going to shoot me, I would have her aim a little bit away from my junk because she was real close. Like where that squib went off, I was like, boy, she could have twitched, or somebody could have nudged her, and it'd have been, you wouldn't have one of your negotiating tools anymore. So, it was a little close to it was like inner thigh when she hit him. And that's like, and we're talking like arteries in there too. So
that's what I was going to say, man. I'd be like, no, you're going to aim for my right shoulder. Like That's the only area you need to be looking at when you're shooting.
Don't shoot near my junk. Don't shoot near my heart.
Yeah, like don't shoot anywhere in the middle. Like you are going to try to shoot me in my right side or miss one of the two.
And I'll finish this out with a question. Like, do we never see her she is abnormally good at shooting. And I don't like bringing this up because of the current environment, but she doesn't miss a shot, and she's using a handgun, and she is shooting people who are well over 10, 20, 30 yards away. And that's impressive. Like, she doesn't miss a single person she's going for. And not only does she hit people, she hits parts. Like, she meant to splatter that guy's brain across in front of Ivy, because she hit him in the head on purpose. Like, he was still crawling.
You remember, what's his face? Got all those guns, man. She said she went to the range with them all the time.
Oh, she did say that back in the episode. You're right. I must have been...
So we're gonna have to take that she went to the range religiously a lot,
right?
And she's got some stead point aim now.
Yeah, so she was highly accurate. And then Allie, of course, breaks it up with her, and she says, "What does she say? This is the face of true love."
Yeah, I think that's what she said. Yeah,
this is what true love looks like, or something, and she blows her head off, and then Allie's left holding the gun, and the cops swarm on her, and she's arrested, and Kai's being carted off on a stretcher, and he gives that he may as well just turn to the camera and smiled pretty much, I'd say it worked. Everything worked exactly like I had it planned because my aliens powers said they would.
He's like, good thing I planned this out from a starship because that's the only way this bullshit would have happened.
Exactly. So, yeah, and that was the episode, which you didn't like and I didn't hate, which is way different which is partially different than our normal reviews. And it made us talk for another, 5 or 10 minutes on it. So good on you, American Horror Story.
Hey, American Horror Story could literally fucking put a big steaming pile of shit, literally a giant big pile, and I'll watch it for 45 minutes thinking something's going to fucking happen. And then you know what? I could bitch about it for 45 minutes. They're always going to get an hour out of me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the next episode, we're going to get a little bit of stuff during this time, but it looks like a giant, decades flashback. We get the actress who always plays the old lady, and so I forget what else she's. She was one of the main witches that came in for the coven that they burned at the stake. Is that actress, who's been on Cult before, or who's been on American Horror Story before?
She was the maid in the first one.
Correct. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So she's in this next episode, and it looks like that she's grown old, but that she was part of some cult that happened in that town, in the 60s, because I saw poodle skirts or maybe hair bobs and shit. It looked like 60s type clothing. So it looks like we're going to get maybe the old cult who are still around challenging this new cult that's popped up, or they're going to join forces, or who knows what. But the next episode is titled. Valerie Solanas died for your sins, scumbag. That's the title of the episode. So I don't know. I don't know who Valerie Solanas is. So we're going to find out.
If it's like an old timey cult and they're like, hey, we're going to join forces, like, I will not watch the next episode. I will not do it. Like, that will be my straw. Like, she will be my Jill Stein. Like, if that's what happens.
What did she say in the trailer? She's like, I know what it's like to assassinate somebody or something, or assassinate a man. I forget what she said, but like she's got like a big old stogie in her hand when she says it. I don't know. It was great. But, yeah, if the show gets so much worse, maybe between now and the finale, like I'll make sure you don't watch an episode and I will just explain to you how the episode went. And maybe your gut reaction there would be even better than just you watching it.
Maybe I might actually enjoy it if you just cut through all the bullshit and tell me just like the main plot.
Right. You're like, oh, you didn't fill in with all kinds of other shit. That's nice. It's actually a decent plot. Yeah. So any other final parting thoughts on this spectacular episode 6 of American Horror Story, Corey?
Nah, I don't have anything. Like, I mean, I know you liked it. Like, I'm not saying I hated it, but I'm also saying I wasn't interested in it either, you know?
There was enough stuff that piqued my interest that I didn't hate it. There was enough things that I was like, I like that. Oh crap, okay, so I added up a bunch of things I liked. I'm like, okay, I like the episode. Yeah, I would say right now it's the best episode so far.
I could see that. I mean, I could actually, I totally agree with you on that.
You still hate it, but it's the one you hated the least.
Yeah. Out of all the episodes, it's got my least amount of disdain. But again, it's just the writing. I just don't care for the story. I just don't care enough about it.
I hear you. Well, let us know what you think, everybody who's listening. If you're only here for the American Horror Story portion of the podcast, we thank you for tuning in. Please tune in next week for us to talk about episode 7. I won't tell you we're going to like it, but we'll definitely talk about it for an hour, and we know your commute's long, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
Other than that, if you are staying on for the Star Trek Discovery portion of the podcast, it will pick up here shortly. And if not, we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Star Trek coming up next. Be right back. We are now ready to begin the review of Star Trek Discovery, Episode 4. Corey, this is, I think, one of the episodes that may, what do I want to say? It may calm a few of the haters when it comes to it not being a science-y exploration type episode. It's very contained. There's a problem at the beginning. We're going to figure out how to solve it in the middle, and we're going to solve it at the end. It's a very contained episode. And that's what a lot of folks are complaining about. But it also, helps the overarching plot of the whole story. And, okay, I'll just say this up front. I'll never turn on this podcast. You will never turn this podcast on and hear me say I don't like an episode of Star Trek. We get on here every week. I get on Facebook and talk to certain groups, and I get on, Reddit and piss people off. And, I love that we have a Star Trek show that's on the air somehow, whether it be, streaming or not, that we can all either love or hate. Because it's great. I love the fact that this is even offered to us right now.
Yeah, dude, the show is fantastic. Like, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I'm glad I got into it. I mean, I guess that's the best way to put it.
Well, so let me ask you, since you have access to the Two Dad Reviews CBS All Access streaming account, do you have any inkling to go back and, pick up some old stuff? Watch some old Star Trek?
No.
Well, okay. All right. So it hasn't done its job completely. I may actually, you know what? Oh, we should, if we ever hit a lull in movies and TV, we may have to pick up I send Corey to watch certain episodes. We'll be realistic. The original series, there's 79-ish episodes. You only really need to watch about a dozen of them. Because I've watched all of them. Some of them are definitely some trash episodes that you were like, what? It's the 60s. I'm sure you guys were on something when you wrote this episode. But there are some episodes that are some landmark episodes of the original series. I kind of almost want to like do that in the future if we ever get tired of doing what we're doing now, because I would love to see your reaction, because this show has actually drawn you into the Trek universe. I would love to see your reaction to these.
That's cool. I'll do that, man.
And there's certain episodes throughout all of, the original series, DS9, TNG, Voyager, and even Enterprise that are like, watch this, watch this, watch this. These are like landmark episodes to go through, and I would love to put you into I would love to sit in a room with you and watch this, because some of them are so fantastic and so like deeply rooted in the Star Trek lore and universe that it's just like, this is what the show is about right here. And that could be like an entire, I could start an entire podcast just on that. And I would probably get more listens than we do now. So, bourbon aside, as I'm drinking my bourbon on the mic, this episode, Corey, what were your initial thoughts? What'd you think? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was a good episode. I mean, it had a little bit of everything. It, like you said, it was more of a science-y with the intent to kill, I guess you could say. Like
that's the underlying. That's everything is science, but I want to kill with it. Is like the plot of the show.
Yeah. So, but like it had we gotta say that like it had a little bit of everything for everybody. Like if you're kind of from what I gather from a diehard Star Trek person, you want a little bit more of the procedural kind of stuff. But this also had, for the newcomers, you're in a war. Here's your explosions. Here's your bangs. Here's all the cool stuff that you want to happen in space.
And it's cool that it's one of those type of episodes, the contained type episode that it didn't lose a new type viewer. That's why I think what we have done here, you and me, is the best for reviewing this show, because you are as green as they get when it comes to Star Trek.
Yeah,
you know about it, but you don't know the depth of which I know it. And it's cool that it didn't lose you.
This is like a whole new layer of the onion.
There's part of
our friendship. I'm like, oh shit, what did I get? Motherfucker, god damn it, lured me in.
I hid it so well for so many years, and now you get to see it. So this week's episode, we are on episode 4. The title is, by the way, according to my looking up, like the second longest title in the history of all the Star Trek shows. Only slightly shorter than the original series episode titled "For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky." That is the longest titled Star Trek episode in all of the known Star Trek universe of episodes. This episode's title is "The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry," which, when I first read that last week, I was like, holy I was like, where the fuck are we going with this?
Yeah, dude, that was intense. I didn't know what the title was, but that sounds like some biblical shit.
More than likely, or something similar. But yes, it definitely is the perfect title for what happens in this episode. So yeah, there's a lot of like just digging into my, I can watch a TV show where guys are getting shot left and right, but the minute the dog gets shot, I'm like in tears. Like,
yeah, right.
Oh, you're in pain. It's like, oh no, the animal's hurt. Oh God, like what am I gonna do? Yeah, so there's definitely that whole. This is not a new idea for television of like, what does it, what does all of this cost? What are we willing to sacrifice to meet our goal? Our goal is to do this. Yes, we saved this many lives, but we tortured an animal to do it. It's brings up a lot of deep questions that, we expect Star Trek to do. We really do, because we're like, oh crap, we want to save all these people. I mean, you literally are playing audio of like, mommy, wake up. Like, over the, we're seeing all this, they have all this great audio from the place that's being attacked by the Klingons. And it's like, am I willing to torture this animal that's just misunderstood to save these people?
Yes.
And that, that always gets me. I'm like, maybe you're a dick. Like maybe you guys are a bunch of cannibals or something. I don't know. Like maybe I don't like you. Maybe you're just, if I went to your town, you wouldn't even like me. Like maybe you're assholes, but you know, who knows? But I don't want to torture this poor little animal. I don't know. Should I save you?
I mean, if it comes to saving like an animal or a human, pretty sure I'll always pick the human.
I mean, what if it's a Brian? I mean, all Brians are mostly assholes. I mean, like every Brian, name a Brian you've met in this world that's not an asshole.
I don't know.
So you're over a cliff holding a Brian and a poor little golden retriever puppy. Like I'm letting the Brian go every time.
Well, okay, yeah, I'm just saying you're like, hey, let me pick the worst thing I can think of in humankind is a Brian. And like, you're like, let me probably think of one of the most like lovable dogs of all time, which would be a golden lab. Like that's an unfair comparison, I feel like.
There may be some longtime friends that listen to this podcast of mine that know exactly what I'm talking about. And I would be very ashamed if they didn't get on my damn Twitter and tweet it Two Dads Review and let me know what they thought about my comparison. Cause I would grab the golden retriever every time and twice on Sunday. Just saying. So anyways, all right, let's get into the episode, before I get too far into, to that kind of shit. So we start in Michael's and Tilly's quarters, and they actually start us inside a replicator, which is a scene we have never seen before. I thought it was cool because, you know, you're watching, you're like, where are we? Like, are we in space? What's happening? And we find out we're watching how a replicator works from the inside. Like it's making that uniform like we're inside. That's pretty cool. That's a neat little scene.
What is that thing? Okay, because you gotta the replicator? Okay.
Yes.
So
okay. So everything. Okay. So here. Oh yeah. Let me get my nerd. Let me put my nerd head on if it wasn't already on already. So, everything that is consumed or used or worn or, you know, it's replicated on the ship. Like the ship has things that it just makes stuff for you. Mostly you hear about it with food. Like, so the computer has a certain, it makes it for you. It tastes like what it is. It looks like what it is. It feels like what it is, but what it really is full of is just, who knows, but it has enough proteins to keep you alive. It's the mush from Matrix, but it's shaped nicely into a fake form of steak.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? But that's not the only use for replicators. I don't know extensively, sadly, how far it can go. And I actually don't know what feeds the replicator. Like, does it make it out of thin air? Is there like a bucket of goo in the back that it uses to like 3D print this food or clothing or whatever? But this is the second time we've seen her like make a uniform, you know? So I'm guessing at the end of the day, she dumps it in the replicator retention box and it like converts it back to whatever it is, like the mush in the back. And then it makes a new uniform the next day. I don't know, but that's what a replicator does. And I think they've even alluded to like replicating fixes for the ship, like parts, but I don't think that's done very often. So maybe it's just organic stuff like clothing and food.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'll do some research and I'll tell you all next podcast. Tune in next week for a replicator talk with the Two Dads. I actually think when she's in the mirror, I saw this when I was watching it. I think when she's looking at herself in the mirror, which is just a holographic projection of herself in mirror form, I think she actually touches like where on her uniform, like Captain Giorgio got stabbed, because it's the first time she's worn a Starfleet uniform since the whole incident. You know, she's been in prison garb for 6 months. And she's back in Starfleet uniform for the first time. And the first thing she does is like literally touch where, you know, Captain Giorgio was stabbed. So I was like, maybe she's also just, I don't know, looking for a comm badge. I have no clue, but I wanted to put some more meaning into the way that she was like, you know, touching on her shirt where she was, you know, whatever.
Probably.
But anyways, Tilly comes in, my favorite character of the whole fucking show. Tilly comes in, she brings this case that's like beeping. Like, apparently it beeps until the person it's meant for gets to it, which has got to be the worst goddamn UPS drive ever. Like, just all these cases in the back just beeping incessantly. And so Burnham touches it. We find out through the computer that it's Captain Georgiou's last will and testament. And she's like, she nopes out of that shit. She's like, nope. And pushes that shit in her bed, which is a dick move because it's just going to keep beeping. So no one's getting any sleep in that room that night. Like it's like, and I don't know how much time passes between this incident and when she actually opens it at the end of the episode, but like I'm guessing a couple days, and so it's just been beeping in that room for days. Like, are you shitting me? I was just like, dick move, Burnham. Just open the case, all right? But so she heads out and she gets on the turbo lift with Saru, with Commander Saru, and we finally learn the name for the creepy shit on the back of his neck, which grosses me out. I don't know why it grosses me out. I don't know. What do you think? Does it gross you out, Corey?
No, not at all. I was waiting for you to get like. I was like, why does it remind you of like a Dilophosaurus or something?
No,
like, are you waiting for it to like shoot out?
It's just gross. It's just, I don't know, and I don't know why it grosses me out. But like every time it pops out, and he's like all like weird about it, and like, I wish it would go back in. It's like awkward teenage boner. It's what it's pretty much. He puts on the face of like awkward teenage boner. So I'm like, we do find out a term for what that is, because we know that Commander Saru's race and species on his planet is binary. So it has predator and it has prey, and he is the prey side, and their entire thing is to sense the imminence of death and things that he should be afraid of and should run from. We find out that it's called threat ganglia, which couldn't be any grosser than like awkward teenage boner. So it activates around her because he finds her as to be a threat, and he's like, I take great pride in knowing that everybody on the ship and where everybody's going, and your ass is supposed to be on that shuttle that left.
Yeah.
And she's like, I took an opportunity. So and he's like, I still don't fucking like you. I'm sorry. And these creepy things on my neck say I don't like you. But they play a great role later on in the episode, which we will get to. I thought it was cool how they brought it into play later on. So they arrive on the bridge, and it's, of course, a training simulation because the ship isn't exploding. But Captain Lorca is running a training simulation. So Commander Landry is a security officer. I'm not sure if she's a tactical officer. Usually they are one and the same, but she does a piss poor job in this training simulation. Like they get, blown up in the training simulation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, isn't that your entire fucking job? Is just to be tactical? Like, are you that person? So I don't know if security officer and tactical officer are the same. Like on on Enterprise D, Worf was a tactical and also the security officer. So I would assume that it's the same, one and the same, but apparently they haven't been running stuff against, Klingon adversaries very much, so she doesn't do a very good job.
Well, I gotta feel like all of the training they should probably fail because it's all kind of brand new, yeah?
True, they haven't seen a Klingon for 100 years. They haven't been, like, focusing on them and their tactics, so agreed. They shouldn't be good at it, but, and she pulls that whole, we'll do better next time, and Lorca's like, it would be hard to do worse. I just love the one-liners they give him. Like last episode, they were like, and he knows you, when they went to the ship or whatever.
Yeah.
They give him the best one line because he's a dick, because that actor has played Lucius Malfoy, and he is classic at delivering the dick lines. I think that they're like, I think there's a writer on the staff that's like, you are solely in charge of Captain Lorca dick line delivery line. Just write those. That's all you get to write is like dick move lines. So to kind of spoiler the episode later on, because if you're listening to our podcast and don't realize it is just a recap of the show and a deep dive, it's going to be spoiler full. I'm going to jump ahead. In fact, we already know that Commander Landry has drank the Lorca Kool-Aid. We mentioned that last episode, that she just eats up every word he says. And, you know, we almost thought that there may even be like a relationship, like physical or at least emotional relationship between the two of them. She sees, you physically see her react to his disappointment with that dick line that he says. She reacts to it. And I believe this is at least a portion of the budding of what happens later on in the episode. Like, it's where she's like, I will make him fucking happy. I will give him a result that he will like because I drank his Kool-Aid and I want to make him happy. So I think this moment here, we see her react, and this is what leads to what happens later on in the episode, because it's so like, like everybody, I'm yelling, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, stop. Like, don't, oh, Jesus, this is not going to go well, which is exactly what happens, but we'll get there. So after the stuff on the bridge, Lorca and Burnham are heading to his, what we're calling Lorca's menagerie, his room of death or whatever, his room of war. And I thought it was kind of cool to see that, like, you had this giant starship, and if someone's not there, like, they're not running lights to it. You know, it's dark. So it's cool to watch them, like, walk to it, and, like, as the lights are coming on. And it also shows you how goddamn big that set is that they've built for this show.
Oh, yeah, dude. This set has to be massive.
Massive. Because that hall was a good 50 yards, at least. Just to show how, like, look what we built.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, we can do this.
Right. We have this. Look at our budget, motherfuckers. This is our budget right here. Yeah. We just build halls for no goddamn reason but to light shit up.
What up, Phil Money?
So when they get to his war, where, you know, his menagerie, his war room, his death room, he gives us a little more background on why that room exists, and we find out that he has collected the deadliest weapons in the galaxy, whether it be a physical weapon or actual beasts like the Gorn, or, you know, I'm not sure why the Cardassian Vols are there, but whatever. But the Gorn, but there's a lot of weapons. You know, there's a Klingon Bat'leth up there, and there's whatever gun that Landry pulls out later on in the episode. We know that Lorca studies war. He is a captain that... He is one of the captains that, yeah, we're exploratory, but I'm the war guy. Like, I'm the guy they bring in for this shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just in case you run into something bad, I'm the badder thing.
Right. I'm on the bottom of the good guys because I'm that bad. Like, I'm the best, but I'm the bad side. So sorry.
Yeah. When you draw the line in the sand, I'm the one that's closest to it.
Exactly. In fact, I may have even been over it. I may have been behind you when you drew it. Yeah, exactly. So at this point, he orders Burnham. He shows her that he has kept, the tardigrade, which we find out here later. You know, they nickname him Ripper, so we're gonna call him Ripper. But we find out that she finds out he has brought the tardigrade on board, which we all knew from last episode. And he says, you need to take it apart. I want to find out what makes his claws rip through ship holes. I want to find out what makes his hide withstand phasers set on kill. You know, I want you to find out what that is about this thing, and I want you to fucking weaponize it.
Yep.
And that's his goal. This right here in this cage is the most deadliest thing that I have, and I know bupkis about it. Zero. I know nothing about this thing. So he puts her on her mission her scientific mission to learn about this entity. He wants to weaponize it. She wants to learn about it. So that ends pretty much scene 1. We'll call it scene 1. All that stuff. Scene 2, we start on the coffin ship where Voq is with all the rest of the Klingons. We know they've been there for 6 months because of the time that's passed. We find out that they're friggin' starving. That they're low on food. The ship is still stranded. They haven't been able to repair it completely. They've been through all the Klingon ships that have been stranded during the battle, or they're, whatever was left that didn't leave. They've scavenged all of that. And Laurel, who is the female Klingon, she is trying to convince him there are Federation. Can we please go get the shit that it's right there? Like, can you please go get that? Because we could leave. Like, with that. Just go get it. But he doesn't want to merge with the Federation because he sees it as unclean, and he wants to keep the Klingons pure, and so he's sticking to the teachings of, T'Kuvma. Mm-hmm. We also find, this goes back to what we mentioned back in the American Horror Story portion of the podcast, if you listened, they ate Captain Georgiou. Like, they ate her. And that was a little bit, I had to stop, I had to, rewind. I'm like, I'm sorry. Did I read that right? Like, we're eating them? I'm like, I can see that. Now, probably was partially for lack of, I'm sure they didn't eat her on day one. I'm sure they had her in a, but when things got less and less, I'm sure that it partially for food because they were starving as the months went on, and partially just to consume your enemy. I mean, that dates back, millennia on Earth, like when it comes to, eating the heart of your kill and stuff like that. But I mean, she was talking about picking the meat off her smooth skull.
Yeah, they were, I don't know, it was either they acquired the taste for blood and now they want it, so that's why it was sweet skull skin, or they just really enjoyed it. Or
they're just really hungry, and that's all they had left.
Well, that's true.
We know they're starving. We know they're starving, and you can't tell how skinny they are on those awesome outfits. So there's no telling. We also learn a little bit about Laurel's heritage. We learn that she is blood kin to T'Kuvma on her father's side. We also find out that her mother's side was House Mokai. She says they're infamous for being watchers and deceivers and weavers of lies. Like that house, that's what they're known for. They're like the spy type portion of the Klingon houses.
They're a bunch of Tyrians.
Right. Exactly. Listen to our Game of Thrones podcast for season 7. Plug that while we're talking about Tyrion. I got you. The only other time in the Star Trek universe that we hear of House Mokai is during Voyager. There's a portion where Captain Janeway is abducted by some alien race that they put her in, like, I don't know if she's sedated, but she's definitely in like a hologram type situation. And she's a Klingon, which is kind of a cool episode, but she's from House Mokai there too as well. Just a little tidbit. You don't care. But people listening are like, hey, he read Memory Alpha while he was watching the show. So the whole point of that scene is like, we know where the Klingons are that are on this ship, on T'Kuvma's ship, and they are in a bad spot. And there is literally the fix is right there, but their leader is refusing to go get it, and he's expecting T'Kuvma's blessing to drop a dilithium converter in their lap. That's not from a Federation ship.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which is not going so well for the past 6 months.
Yeah, just waiting, guys. Don't worry, it's coming.
So, we then jump over to Lorca's menagerie again, and we find Burnham's in there messing with the beast. We find out that Landry has been assigned to her, and she just bullheads her way through in there like, I'm assigned to you. We're going to figure this shit out. We got to make it, weaponize it, blah, blah, blah. I think Landry's the one that names it Ripper because of what it can do, which is hilarious because of what it does to her later.
Yeah.
But we find out that that Ripper is comparable to an Earth microscopic organism called a tardigrade. But in their case, this thing is, macroscopic. It's 8 feet friggin' tall. And in our world, it's, seeable under a microscope. And then this is like, I guess the training simulation and the failures on the bridge, that kind of stuff. Like Landry is just being a bitch. Like there's a whole scene to her. It's like she doesn't care about, you can tell that she doesn't care anything about the science. She just wants to make Lorca happy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was, she definitely like was unnecessarily angry. I mean, I feel like,
Just,
like there was a whole lot of, you're doing this not aggressively enough. I feel like.
why don't you have weaponized results for me already? Exactly.
Yeah, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then she all wanted to be all like gung-ho opening the door and crap.
Well, we're not even there yet. Like this, that's not even this scene. That scene's later on. Like she's already like it's just she's just and I'm not like, I kind of want her to be like not really dead, but we know she's dead. Maybe she's a clone. I don't know. Like I liked her character. Like I liked that she was a dick, like to people. Like I loved her stuff in last episode. And then for them to kill her off later, I'm like, well, fuck. I'm like, could you kill off somebody I don't care about as much? Cause she was like cool and she was like going to be a neat, so I'm kind of wondering if there's like, a couple episodes down the road, like she's going to walk through the door and Burnham's going to be like, what the fuck? And then she's going to be like, yeah, I've got, we do cloning on this ship too, something, I don't know, but we'll get there. But like I said, as of right now, I mean, it's just like they've written it. This is, so I would call this a complaint on the show, is they've written it where she is just blinders on, drinking the Lorca Kool-Aid. Like I am just here to make him happy and I will do however I can to make him happy, which is,
well, now she's dead.
And now she'll be dead shortly. Absolutely. So that's a dumb way of looking at stuff. But I don't know. I felt like they built it up so much to then kill her. Like there's a better way to have. It was almost a throwaway, and I'm like, I don't need that. Like I need you to build that person up more. Like take that Kool-Aid drinking to the extreme, and then kill her off.
She kind of like the right hand person.
I mean, yes. If you're building up that Lorca's now missing if you were trying in a very short amount of time to build up the fact that she was his all and she was his right hand, whether, yes, Burnham was going to slide in and be the voice of reason that he doesn't have right now. Because right now he has a sounding box. He steps in a room and Landry says, yeah, it's a great idea to everything he says.
Yeah.
And you're right. He doesn't need that. He needs Burnham, who's going to be the voice of reason, the voice of science in his warhead, to calm him down. But I felt it was just clunky. Like if that's what they're going for, like I understand that, but the way they did it and the way it portrays out through this episode was just a bit clunky. It's like she didn't have to be, like you could have killed her off elsewhere because she was written very well. Like her character, like I understood her character. Like, and you could have taken that like Lorca love like to another level, and she didn't even get there yet, and they killed her. So that's why I kind of am almost like, maybe she's a clone. That'd be cool. I don't know.
You're like, I just want her in the show. So
I want her in the show. I like that actress. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna make her a clone. That's what we're gonna do.
In my head, we're going clone. Anyways, we then jump to the ready room where the captain is noshing down on some fantastic lobster or crab legs or something, and the admiral calls in, and he's like, "Sorry, I'm eating." And she says, okay, Corvan 2's under attack. We need immediate evacuation. And it's like, for everybody who doesn't know me and Corey, like we have normal jobs, and we're, grunt workers on the jobs, and we know that we have bosses. And I have known this conversation that happens in this ready room has happened on many a contract we've been on, where it's like, can you do this? Fuck yeah, we can do this. And then they leave, and then they go to us and go, guess what the fuck we're doing? It's impossible. It's not impossible. You're gonna fucking do it like right now. And so, like, I watching that scene, I was like, oh, fucker. Like I've like, God, because she's like, is the Discovery ready? He's like, always. It's like, can you make the jump? He's like, yeah, no problem. Like, it's a fucking problem, bro.
Yeah, he was like, that's what I was born to do, man, was make this jump.
I told you we'd be ready when you called. We're ready because you called. No, That's not how it works, man. You're not fucking ready. The last shit that did this spun everybody into pools of people. And they had everything. You got lucky this time, but we'll get there. Jesus. It's just, I just sat in my living room and I was just like pissed. I was like, you fucking managers, every goddamn time. Just say, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Yeah, we can do it. It's fine. You don't know that. But, I digress. We're going off on a tangent. It's way too real right now. Korriban 2 produces 40% of the dilithium that the Federation mines. So we're talking everything. Corey, do you know what dilithium is?
I'm gonna say it's some type of fuel.
Yes, it's what they power the warp drives with, and possibly the entire ship, but definitely just the warp. Definitely for sure the warp drives. So you're going nowhere fast with no dilithium. So if the Klingons got a hold of this, they've got a large supply of dilithium that they can put into more ships, so on and so forth. But it's what drives the warp drive.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So to jump back to my rant a second ago, real fast, it's cool how they cut from the ready room to engineering, because he was like, "Yeah, we could do it, no problem," and they immediately cut to Stamets and engineering going, "No, we can't fucking do it."
Yeah. It's like, you're out of your mind. No.
So yeah, I loved that cut. And while Stamets is a dick on his own right, I'm also loving his character the more I see him. Like, he was a little bit awkward last episode when we first met him, but like, as I understand his whole reason, like, he is quickly becoming one of my favorites, just below Tilly, who is still my favorite. So even then, he's like, I have some ideas. I think we can, I can extend our jump range some. We'll see what happens. So, that's how that scene that's how that portion I'll figure something out, sir. Just go the fuck away. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, and Boss Man was like, yeah, you will.
Yeah, you will. Like I said to the Admiral, you were fine. Yeah. Ass. So back to the binary star at the very end of the scene, Cole arrives, who is the Klingon that has the red stripe down one eye. He is kneeling in front of Voq. Cole is kneeling in front of him. And Voq is like, "Hey, T'Kuvma taught us that the only folks who kneel in front of us are our enemies." So, he's doing the normal, like, "Hey, we could all be, this is what we're taught. We're supposed to be friends," and Cole is playing nice. But what we find out is that he wants the cloaking tech, because we know that none of the other Klingons, this is the only ship in the Klingon Empire that has cloaking that T'Kuvma invented. And we also find out during the scene that Cole is from the House Kor, Kor, and Kor is one of the original Klingons we ever see on the original series. So we know what line this guy is from. It doesn't matter in this story, but when it comes to me knowing trivia, I made sure to write that down. He's House Kor, who is like the Klingon of Klingons when it comes to the original series. He's the very first one they ran into. So,
oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's one of the more well-known houses of the Klingon Empire, of the 24. It's one of the ones you'll see if you watch things, especially the way I did it. You watch shit chronologically. A couple years ago when I did it, like, you see, oh man, Kor is like, he's in Enterprise a little bit. I think maybe not, but then he's in the original series. He's also in DS9 later on, as an older Klingon, and he, gets to fight and die in some cool battle. So it's pretty cool. It's one of the ones that carries through the entire series.
Oh, that's cool. So Klingons live a long time.
The original series to DS9, yeah, they definitely have a longer lifespan than humans. But
I'm just
he's
saying,
definitely
like, a Klingon at
his rope.
100 is not like weird.
No, not at all. Not at all, because between the original series and Next Generation is at least 100 years. But he's definitely at the end of his rope by the time he gets to DS9.
Yeah.
He's ready to go out. I mean,
I just didn't know what their life expectancy was. I mean, I know it's probably short because they kill everything, but
right. But like, no, he definitely is way too old.
But like, if one did live to be old,
right? And that was the whole point of that episode. It's actually, if I do send you on a mission of watching certain episodes, it's one of the DS9 ones I'll make you watch, because it carries on from stuff later, earlier on in the shows. The whole point of the episode is like, I'm fucking old. I need to die in battle. I don't want to die in my sleep. Like, I need to die on the field of battle, which is what all Klingons. Yeah, he just is so damn old. He's like, fuck, I need to die the right way.
Yeah, I've been around. I've killed everything and everyone. I need...
Like, I'm too good at what I do, which is literally what he is. Like Kor is literally like the Klingon of Klingons. Like, he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, he's been from the beginning all the way to the end, and he's like, fuck, no one's killed me. Like, I need someone to fucking kill me, please. Like, I don't want to die in my bed, you know? So it's literally what it's a fantastic episode of DS9. I love nerding out in front of you. It's great. Anyways, okay, so that ends what we're going to call scene 2. So, commercial break. We jump back to scene 3. We're back on the Discovery, and we are ready to rock and roll with Stamets, hoping we can jump far enough to get to Korvan 2. We're ready for we set the black alert, and we're ready to jump. And we jump, and okay, so this is when we first see, the ship, like, those rings that are the saucer section, like, they spin, and I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. I'm ready, I'm watching, what are you gonna do now? And then, we were talking earlier, before the podcast started recording, that it's literally, like, apparating, like, Harry Potter. That ship just spins and it's gone, and then it spins and it appears somewhere else. And I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, man. Like, I just watched it and I instantly went, this is why I can't ride roller coasters no more, man. I was like, oh, dude, I got nauseous just looking at it.
Right. And it definitely, the way it travels, it's not normal warp speed. You're not going in a straight line. So it lets you know why those bodies look the way they did on the Glen last episode, because it spins out. It spins into the spores and then spins out of the spores.
Yeah, no, I get it now. I was just saying, like, when I saw the ship move, I was just like, man, like, I hope it's not one of those things like, okay, like when a werewolf changes, it always hurts, right? Like, he's never like, oh man, let's kick in this metamorphosis because it's going to be totally awesome. No, it's always excruciatingly painful. Like, all I could think of was like, what if the side effect is like, you're always sick after that? I'd be like, how many times are we going to fucking do this thing, man? Like, I can't handle it anymore.
Right. And then before we started recording, I explained to you, at least for warp, what an inertial dampener was, which was what keeps people from just pulling on the back of the wall they're standing, behind them when they go to warp and they jump past light speed. So I would like someone to tell me what the name of whatever device keeps them from becoming pools of spun out people, or just being slightly nauseous after every jump.
Yeah, like, because, okay, we get it. So there's the space bug is basically a GPS. So, but like, and the spores allow for you to move. But like, so are you telling me like the spores suck everybody up and then spit them back out?
I don't know.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Thanks, Google.
Okay, Alexa.
Thanks, Alexa. Appreciate that. I'm glad you didn't know that either. Yeah, I don't know. And, they may tell us, they may not ever tell us. Who knows? But Star Trek's pretty good about explaining itself, but
the Star Trek's waiting for some super nerd to write it, and they're like, yeah.
Well, I mean, remember I told you, because I did not get to watch the after trek for this episode yet, so I don't know anything else they talked about there. I'll watch it probably tonight while I'm doing the post on this podcast. But last week they had the guy, like, this is all based off of real science. We talked about it last week, like the spores throughout the universe, like it's real hippie shit, but it's based on real science. So I'm guessing they're traveling. I don't know. Like, is it like transporting where you break it up by molecules?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, like, are they just getting broken down into Legos and then repieced back together? I don't know. I'm just curious.
I am too.
Just talking about it, like,
no, it's very cool.
Like, I want to know what's keeping them in place when they come back.
Right. And during their travel, like, or during this whole event, Burnham is down in the menagerie and she sees Ripper responding horribly to what's, to the travel about to take place. And during the travels, like Stamets, they end up, like when they come out of their spin, they spin out like literally on a star, like they're literally almost in a star, and they have to like get out of there. And during the getting out of there, Stamets like breaks his nose completely.
Oh yeah, dude, his nose was
fucked.
and by the way, man, like, I want to know what kind of shield, because they were so close to that star.
Oh, hey, man, don't you know in Star Trek lore, you can slingshot around a star and go back in time? They did it in Star Trek 4, The Undiscovered Country, or what was it called?
I'm just
saying, the one with the whales.
That ship should have melted.
Well, it doesn't. They go around stars all the time, man. It happens all day long. Those shields are fantastic.
all day long.
But the best thing about Stamets breaking his nose is that we get to meet the chief medical officer on Discovery, who is Dr. Culber, who actually, like, I like how they write for him. Like, he's almost like a Bones, like a Dr. McCoy type-esque character. He's very, he has like good one-liners, and he's kind of like, crotchety when it comes to things. And he's like, I repaired this first because I didn't want you to, a centimeter more and it would have damaged your, whatever frontal lobe. And then Stamets is like, the frontal lobe is overrated.
Yeah, I don't need that. Who needs feelings?
Right. Culber's like, well, I decided to do that first in case you ever wanted to have a fucking feeling again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the back and forth between the Doctor and Stamets was really like refreshing. Like there is some good comedy writing. It's not har fall on the floor, slap your knee, but it's a lighter material to take in. It's fun to watch. But Stamets is bitching to the captain in sickbay, and the captain goes, "Do you want to be remembered along with the Wright brothers, Elon Musk, and Zefram Cochrane?" Corey, you know who the Wright brothers are. We all know who Elon Musk is, and it's cool that I like when they like harken back to that a little bit, where it's like, oh, cool, like, because everybody right now, especially at the point we are right now, we're like, is Elon Musk fucking crazy, or is he like the greatest thing in the world right now?
Yeah, dude, he could be the savior. He could also be the Antichrist.
Exactly. And then, so I'm going to nerd out some more. Do you know who Zefram Cochrane is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Correct, because he doesn't exist in the real world. In Star Trek lore, Zefram Cochrane is the man who invented warp drive, like who invented warp travel.
Gotcha.
And he's actually, you know what? I'm going to actually Google it because I don't know the name of the guy who does it. But the guy who plays him, he's in a Next Generation episode, or not episode, but movie. They meet Zefram Cochrane. No, it's not Simon Pegg. No.
But I thought what did he invent in the movies?
He invented
with Spock's help or whatever.
Well, Spock just gave him his thing.
Yeah.
But he invented transwarp transportation, where you could transport across light years as opposed to just.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But the actor that plays Zefram Cochrane is James Cromwell.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he is like the biggest hippie. Like in the movie, it's fantastic the way he plays him. But that's who Zefram Cochrane is, and so he's listing him among the greats. Like, so you have the guy who's invented flight, the guy who invented the next mode of transportation after oil, theoretically, Elon Musk, or who, capitalized on it. And then you have the guy who invented warp travel, which is what, and the big thing about warp travel is that when the Vulcans first saw that Earth had achieved faster than light travel, that's when they came to Earth and said, "Hi, you're not the only ones out here." Like, I know you've been thinking about it for a while, but the first contact was initiated after we achieved warp travel.
Yeah,
which pretty
you guys
much
finally got smart enough for us.
And that's exactly what it is. In fact, the Prime Directive is based partially on that. Like, if they have achieved warp travel and the chance of them bumping into us has increased exponentially, we'll go ahead and first contact these folks to make sure, hey, we're all cool here. You know, you want to be part of our team? You know, we're good.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit of a side note. Everyone on here who knows Star Trek is just like, yeah, I know this, but you don't. And it's good to hear, you know, I'm educating someone who's not a Star Trek fan. I'm not a Star Trek freak like I am. So after all that, the captain he does a shipwide hail and plays the audio from Corvin 2, which is like, "Mommy, don't die." Like all that screaming and shit, like throughout the entire ship. And I was like, that's fucked up.
I thought it was awesome. I was like, damn right, dude. That's, you know, you need to save those people. You get that point across.
Like if you're ever wondering what your mission is, if you're doubting what we're doing, listen to that poor child call for their mommy.
Yeah.
Like you tell that kid.
In case you forgot what dotted line you just signed.
Right. Exactly. If you ever doubt what we're doing, this is what we're doing right now. So after this is situation and they get away from the star, this is when Commander Landry storms into Lorca's war room and loses her fucking mind. And she's like, we're going to do this shit now. Give me this. I'm going to pull this gun. Because we know that he's collected all the deadliest weapons in the world or in the universe. So she pulls out a nice rifle with whoever the fuck it is. Yeah. And she's like, dump some sleeping gas into that place. Open it up. I'm going to carve off its damn paw. And we're going to figure out how it cuts through a ship. Because she's just trying to do anything. And it goes about as well as could be expected. The gas doesn't do shit. It barrels through the thing. It tries to escape. She shoots it, pisses it off, and it fucking annihilates her.
Oh yeah, dude. It treated her good makeup. Like a rag doll.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Like, there's better ways to have done what you did, but which is why I just don't understand what they're doing, what they did with this character. Like there's better ways to have done what they were shooting for. I know she's drinking the Kool-Aid. I know her entire goal in life was to please the captain, but she was too high up in the chain for her to be a second episode death, really.
Not if you're putting Michael there.
Yeah, but Michael had already, but you could have literally had Lorca at the top, and you could have had good angel, bad angel, devil and angel on each shoulder. You didn't have to kill off Landry. You could have taken a few more episodes to increase her crazy, and Michael trying to get her way up on the other side to be the voice of good towards her voice of evil, which is not even true, but as I'm just making
but Michael doesn't want it though. Like, so if you get rid of her right away, and then, obviously the bad guy is going to now be the captain because he's going to need that balance to, hey, remember, dude, like we still kind of check things out as well. We're not here just to destroy everything. But Michael's also super smart. She's the only one that could be there. I think, like you said, she's a high up, but she was just there. You're putting too much, putting too much into her rank.
I really I just loved the scenes that she was in. I liked them so much that I was like, but you're right. I mean, her character in the long run still could have been killed off. I just thought there may have been more material there. They didn't have to do it right away. I don't even know if the end all plot of this episode, if she had to kill her for that to happen. Like, if you had taken out it killing her, we already know that it's a killer, that it can kill. I think I would have not, I didn't feel any more dread internally when she later on in the episode opens the force field and tries and feeds it the spores. Like, her death didn't make me fear for Michael anymore. And not just because Michael is the main character, but you didn't have to kill her. Like, we knew it was dangerous just because it's there. So her just dropping the screen and trying a hypothesis would have been good enough for me personally.
Yeah, but she didn't try that until what's his face crazy alien guy like went in there and didn't have any reaction to it.
Well,
and she saw, and then when she saw what's her face come in all gung ho and super pissy, like it instantly reared up. It's like that's why she was like it was a defensive mechanism.
Right, you are correct, but like I said, that whole scene with him could have been done without it killing Landry. All I'm saying is Landry's death could have been used for a better purpose later on. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she had to be around forever, but Star Trek lore, we don't kill a lot of characters off right away. Like this isn't Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but I also think this is a new Star Trek. Like you're in a war, like
yes, and dying when it, you know.
But what I'm saying is like you're gonna have casualties. Like they had to show someone who was already kind of just like, as you said, drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, I just think you're putting too much into her rank. Like that's all. Like
you're right.
If she would have been anything other than her rank, I don't think you would have cared.
You are correct, but it wouldn't have. But it was meant to be. Yeah, that statement is what I'm going for. She's a commander or a lieutenant commander. She's higher in rank. You can tell she's been with Lorca for a long time. She's not one that character, the way it was written, would not be one that would do such an asinine stunt at any point.
Oh, like, no, I mean, like, I agree with that. Like, yeah, if like, even me watching the scene, I was like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, that's just stupid. Like, no, that I totally agree with. But I also think, like, her character only is carrying any kind of weight with you because of her rank. Like,
right, because of the preconceived notions from past Star Trek that I'm putting on her rank.
Yeah. I like the hand raise and the fucking eyebrows over there.
Just stop arguing with you. You're right.
Hey man, I'm just talking about what I'm putting the pieces together over here. Don't get mad at me.
That's great. No, I love it. It's fantastic. And if her whole death was when they bring her to sickbay and we see this sweet ass special effects makeup on her, like of how tore up she is. And Landry or Lorca's like, don't let her death be in vain. That, like, where it's like a teaching lesson for him is where I'm like, is she a clone? Like, do you have another one sitting in the back room, like, waiting? Like, is that just a fake? If you killed her just for him to say that line, like, it doesn't, like, I don't need that. Like, we know we need to save the people. Like, you already played the mommy, why won't you wake up? Shit from Corbin 2. I know we need to go get him.
Yeah, but you still have people on the ship that are like, I mean, the head doctor dude was like, I signed up to be a fucking nerd. Like, sorry, dude, you're in a war. Like, get over the shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but if
shut up, nerd.
Yeah, like, seriously, like, look, man, like, if you sign up for something that involves, like me, okay, like if my job entailed that because I work on military health contracts, that if it got to the point that we were being overrun, that they were like, yo, dude, you gotta go kill some Klingons that are invading Earth, I would pretty much be like, yeah, no shit, because I don't want to fucking lose my homeland. Like, this guy's still like, dude, I'm gonna leave with all my shit.
Oh, yeah.
And fuck you guys because I signed up to be a nerd, and now you want me to go fucking do nerdy things with weapons. Like, get over yourself, man. And like, but I think like his character is still also a general feeling across the ship that they're all like,
we're explorers. Why are we fighting?
Yeah, like I didn't get up on this, where I'm like, get your shit together, dude. You got a bunch of cool space tech and like, do it.
Lorca's like, how did I get a ship full of fucking liberals? Like, goddamn fucking snowflakes on this ship.
Yeah, seriously.
I need to harden you guys up. Oh, man. Okay. So, after we're in sickbay and we know that Landry is deader than dead, We're back at the Binary Stars where Voke is. He's taken Krell's advice and he's gone onto the Shinzu, and we see him exploring the Shinzu. He's actually in the captain's ready room, which this is a completely off the topic but kind of on topic of the episode. So, number one, I love closed captions because it told me what he put down was like a portable pressurizer. It said portable pressurizer hisses, like when I had closed captions on to take notes about the show.
Yeah.
So, like, I was like, that's fucking cool. I didn't recognize that the first time. I was like, oh, that's what he did. Okay, cool. But so you can see on the Shinzu that the telescope is already gone. Like, it's out of the window. Like, I saw it the episode before, like, mounted in the window when she was talking to her. And then when he was there, it's already gone. So you're telling me that there was a battle at this binary star system, and then after everything happened and they jettisoned all their escape pods, someone came back on a Federation ship to get that thing to then pack up for a criminal to send it to her for her last will and testament.
Well, I think there was probably a scavenger crew who was doing the last will and testament of...
Right, you're literally on, like, the ship is called, like, the Last Will and Testament ship. Like, USS Last Will and Testament.
Yeah, and so, like, I think that's what... And then that piece was already in motion. I don't... You know, it was, like, one of those things, like, where...
Oh, yeah, it's been
like, someone
week.
collecting dog
months.
tags. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like...
Yeah. But, like, they literally... So I would love to have, like, seen a scene on the Klingon ship that's just floating, and the Federation, like, showing up and doing its, you know, Federation gathering Last Will and Testament shit, and, like, just not giving a fuck about the hundreds of Klingons on this ship, and, like, no, you're good. You can just starve. Like, fuck you. Like, I don't care. We're out of here. Like, I'm just gonna get this telescope and leave. You can just die. That's not Federation whatsoever. It's like, don't send over some rations. You know, we do that shit now. You know, like that's kind of stuff that's recorded in history during all wars, like stopping for Christmas and everybody's singing, you know, in their own language, like Christmas songs and shit, like across enemy lines. Mm-hmm. Like, we've done that shit on Earth, but you're going to tell me you're going to go scavenge for a fucking telescope, but, like, not do something about the Klingons just floating around right next door? Like, that's just, because I watched it again and knew what I was looking for, I saw that it was already gone. So I just want to see that scene of the ship showing up and, like, taking it and leaving.
They're not going to give it to you, man.
I want it. I want it bad. I'm just saying. Yeah. So anyways, he's still on he's on the Shinzu, and so I think they get the piece they need now. Yeah, they get the piece they need now, and I can't, you know, originally I was like, is she turning on him now? Has she already planned on turning against him? But at the end of the episode, I don't think she's ever meant to turn against him. She just wanted to save his life. So,
well, yeah, it's like she said, like, she's like, if I God damn it, what did she say? Something like,
I turn on you to save your life.
Well, yeah, but before that, where she was saying she works better, she's like, I don't want the title. I work better behind you. I'm free to move.
That's what she says in the scene. You're absolutely right. Yeah, like, I work better behind the scenes. Like, I have the freedom to move and do things.
Yeah, so I think that whole was just
I mean, she's fallen for him, right? If she's not turning...
If they were trying to not paint a Cleon, like, intimacy thing happening, like, then they did a terrible job of it. Because I was like, yo, man, they are into each other.
They're banging on that ship before they come back over.
Yeah, and tell me, like, why he was so pissed off, like, the first time where they were over there, and he's, like, holding that, like, logbook that basically, like, kept records of everything on the ship.
And he just hates everything. I mean, he literally hates everything. That's what I'm saying. But,
like, is he a dumb warrior?
Yes.
Like, because to me, I would have been like, oh my God, here's the person that, like, I killed, and here's the other person that tried to kill me. I think I'm going to listen to this and see what it's all about.
Right. I mean, I think it was just a reminder to him. I mean, even Cole throws it in his face that he let that Voq let these Federation come over and kill their, Messiah or Uniter or whatever they're going to call him. So seeing that, would piss him off, but he hates everything non-Klingon no matter what anyways. That's just the way that he's been raised, really. So, it's he doesn't like being on that ship in the first place. He doesn't want to be on the ship, but he knows he has to be there to save his crew.
I got you.
So after the scene on the Shinzu, then we get to what we talked about earlier, and that's when Burnham has asked Saru to visit the war room, the menagerie, Lorca's menagerie, and she's talking to him just about, how his day is going and how things are going, but she's walking him closer and closer to the containment pen for the Ripper. And his threat ganglia don't go off, and he discovers that the whole point of her inviting him down was to see if he would react, because she knows his character, his race. He would react if there was a dangerous threat in that room, and there's not. So he's fucking he's like, that's fucked up. Like, that's bad. Like you shouldn't have done that. They had this nice, meaningful conversation at the end. He's like, you haven't changed a bit. Like, you're still just focused on your results and how you get, and it's like, sorry. Like, I got my point across. It's not dangerous. It's just, So this is when he leaves mad. Later on, Tilly shows up and brings a canister of spores. Once again, my favorite character. Like, she's like, people would kill me if they knew I was helping you out. Stamets for sure would be super. So I love that Tilly's already, bucking the system by helping Burnham out with some less than legal, quote unquote legal, things on the board. She literally steals some spores to give to Burnham. With this, she then drops the force field and offers to Ripper, and he eats them up and licks her and is nice and everything.
Yeah. Well, plus what's her name? The little redhead Lily?
Tilly. Yeah. So
don't
mess that up. She's my girl, man.
I wouldn't do no, man. I love her. I
love redheads.
Yeah, me too. Hold on. I gotta think about that for a minute. Anywho, so no, I like her answer though, because she was basically, Michael was like, you didn't have to do this, you don't have to do this, and she's like, we have to help those people. I can't help them here, so I'll do what needs to be done to help you. She's like, I understand that you're trying to help these people.
Right, and she knows that, and what's awesome is that she knows that Burnham's goals in life line up way better with Starfleet than the entire ship, the entire Discovery. She's like, I can learn from you more than I could ever learn from anybody else on this goddamn ship. And I love that, because I think that she will be the character arc at the end of the season. Her character arc is going to be the most, what's the word I should say? The most extensive and the most enlightening and the most rewarding for all of us watching. Her character arc is going to be fantastic.
What she's going to be? Tilly's going to be that character that in say 6 seasons from now, if she dies, there'll be a huge memorial. It'll be a big deal. It'll be when your favorite couple gets married or something like that.
Even better, she'll be the what is it from The Walking, which you don't watch Walking Dead because you've read the comics and you won't watch the show. But oh shit, I knew I was gonna blank on it now. Crap, because the show's not back on yet. Crap. Okay, the guy with the crossbow. I cannot believe I don't know his name. Daryl. If Daryl dies, we revolt. His character is so ingrained in the show that if he were to die, the show would be no one would watch the show. His character is so beloved. And yes, I agree with you. I think her character will be so beloved that they can't kill her. She has to be the one that just barely escapes every time there's any incident. And I'm
there'll be a big thing where she gets like kidnapped or something, and like the whole team will be like, we're stopping everything we're fucking doing. Fuck this star travel bullshit. Everything. We're getting Tilly. And
Where's
like,
Tilly?
Yeah, yeah, there'll be your title right there. Where's Tilly?
Get Tilly. Get Tilly is the title.
Yep.
And I'm okay, and I will love that episode. It'll be fantastic. Yeah. So she is by far my favorite. So we get her befriending Ripper, and then Burnham is the next scene is she's in the engineering and she's putting it all together for Stamets. She's like, on the Glen, it was found in the area they stored the spores, and your friend said that they didn't grow them, they just stored them. So they had to store them in massive amounts. And so it would make sense that Ripper was found in where they would normally store these massive amount of spores, so on and so forth. They transport Ripper into the cultivation area of engineering where the spores are being grown, and
she's like loses his shit. He's like, well, yes.
He's like, he says, she goes, the phaser's only going to piss him off, and he goes, just think of it as a placebo for my skepticism. And then Ripper starts dancing around in the shrooms, and he's like, I always wanted to communicate with my mushrooms.
Yeah, I was laughing at that one pretty hard.
Like his character, like while he's a dick, like he's
you're gonna end up
growing on.
Like now he's a dick, and then he's gonna come around, and then like you're gonna end up loving him, and there's gonna be a thing too where like he's kind of an asshole, but something happens to him, and they're gonna be like, "Fuck this Starfleet shit, we're gonna go save the doc." Like,
well, the fact that every time him and the captain interact, it's the greatest writing ever, because he's just like, I don't want to fucking do this, and I'm going to fucking leave, and I'm going to take all my toys, and I'm going to go home. And the captain's like, well, those toys are all property of Starfleet. He's like, fine.
Yeah, well, I guess you win there, bully guy.
Then I guess I'll stay here, dick. Malfoy. Sorry. Yeah, so we find out that Ripper has some sort of tune in with the spores.
Yeah, it's got some kind of connection to it, like where it's like symbiotic, I guess.
That's what I was going for. If I wasn't drinking bourbon, I would have said the word symbiotic. You're correct.
It does something. Spores do something, because that thing gets overly happy when it's like rummaging around in there.
Frolicking through the spores.
There we go. Frolicking, yes. Rummaging, whatever. Right.
So the next thing we see is we're back on the coffin ship. We're back on T'Kuvma's ship, and Cole has taken over. He's taken the crew. He's going to take the cloaking device. He has brought on a feast. He's feeding Voke's crew. They have all turned on him, and he is about ready to kill. Voke is like, what are you doing? And he's like, fuck you. I took all your shit. Have a nice day. And he's getting ready to kill him, and she presents him with the drive they need to fix the ship. We know later that it's to save, because Cole would have killed him. It saves Voke's life. And, we know that she's...
he also like told her to kill him, too, so it was probably her saving his life and her going like, I can't kill this motherfucker, I'm in love with him.
Right, she's like, I have a better way to, for him. I have something better than killing him. It's like stranding him on the Shinzu.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we'll get to that in a point. So, all right. So now that was our quick scene on T'Kuvma's ship. Now we're back on Discovery. We're ready to do a Black Alert jump again, but this time they transport Ripper into the main chamber. Immediately, all the tech they took from the Glen interacts with him. It is blatantly apparent that Ripper does not like this interaction.
Yeah, he definitely was not feeling that. Like,
not at all.
Like, as soon as it started up, first you saw him, he was like, "Arr!" And then like you see him again, and he's just like excruciatingly not enjoying it. Like everyone in that room had to have felt uncomfortable listening to what was going on.
Apparently only Burnham, but it's like, if it's storing it in its mind, do we have to jab needles into its chest? Like, can we just like put some diodes on its brain and just pull that shit out of there? Like, do we have to jab it? Can we just get it a different, a passive way?
You guys got warp speed. You're telling me we still gotta like poke this thing?
Right. Can we like do something nicer and just get close and then warp to where we need to go?
I saw how you fixed that guy's nose. You're telling me we're still sticking needles in Aliens, okay?
Right, we need needles. Like, I haven't seen a needle in, like, 10 different Star Trek series, but we're going to use needles now for this poor little, slug thing. Sorry. So, yeah. But patching into him works. They jump to exactly where they need to be, exactly the point they need to be when the shields go down, and they light up a couple of Klingon ships. There's a good battle for all the non-Star Trek fans. Some freaking fire and brimstone. And then we get Lorca's, and this, you and I talked about this before that we started recording. So Lorca has this whole plan. Like, he's like, let them all come in, bring them closer and closer, and like, don't fire on them. And they're all coming and they're converging on the Discovery. And he's just out there like, oh, we're just going to line them up. And then, we're waiting for engineering to reprime the drive, throw some more spores in there, and get ready to go.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry, guys. I know for a fact these shields will hold up.
These shields will hold up the exact amount of time it takes for engineering to reload the spores.
Yeah, he's like a convenient ship sailing up out of nowhere.
Right. So, and we find out what you missed in the initial viewing. What I watched, what I noticed is probably this both times, but definitely the second time is like, they wait till the ships get real close, and then the Discovery does its jump, but also like craps out some space dynamite or whatever explosive they decide to leave, and it blows all the Klingon ships up.
Yeah, I thought they just ran into each other.
Yeah, they did. They dropped something, but they didn't. Of all the things they didn't explain, that was the one that I was like, why did you not explain that?
Well, that was like the end of the episode.
Well, exactly. So, but you could have been like, yeah, we're going to, hey, it literally one line could have been like, tactical, get ready to drop the warheads attached to, whatever. Who cares? Like, just tell me in one line of who's going to, but I don't need to, like, it doesn't have to be a surprise.
But it's
just tell me your tactics.
It's a thing now. Like, everybody out there is doing exactly what you're doing. Just tell me what it is. Just tell me what it is.
Right. All I know is that your ship crapped space dynamite and it blew all the Klingon ships up, and I'm okay, but I would like to have known what your plan was. I mean, just something, because that's definitely not the way you were fighting during your dick comment that got your commander killed because you drank your Kool-Aid. Why can't you be better conversation earlier? So, that wasn't what you were trying for then, so why are you doing it now? Just saying. She died because you're not explaining things to people. Try explaining a few things.
Man, you got some pent-up manager rage tonight.
Hey, I'm just saying. Just explain a few things. We'll all know what's going on, okay? Somebody knew to drop the space dynamite, but we don't know what that was and who is doing it. That's all I'm saying. But, so they destroy the Klingon ships. But as you and I talked about before the podcast, they don't come back. Like, they just leave the poor people of Korvan 2 in a decimated state and jump back somewhere, back to where they were. I don't know. But definitely they didn't, like, just hang out and help people like the Federation normally does.
Hey, man, they don't got time for that shit. They're a warship now.
Well, I'm a warship. I got time to help people.
Dude. But I also like how, like, first of all, like, you said before, he was like, yeah, man, we can easily do these space hops. No big deal, right? And then he's like, oh, shit, we got one in the books. Okay, I'm going to rest my whole game plan on this thing recharging and working a second time without fail.
Exactly. And that's just this episode. Now we know, because of the pain that the Ripper was going through, that Burnham's going to fight for that animal's rights. We're all going to feel for it, but we know that, like, they had to do it to save these people on this planet. So it's that whole, like, do we torture this one animal to save this bunch of people? And it's that whole dichotomy, and it's like, oh, how do I feel? I don't know how to feel.
Well, that one time, like, yeah, man, you tortured the hell out of that animal to go.
Is it what? Is it okay for that one time? Yes. Are those people's lives worth that animal? That other alien's 100%. Pain? You would be a horrible Starfleet officer.
No, I wouldn't. You know why? Because every one of those people would be saved. Like, if I knew that's what that animal did, I'd be like, look, dude, sorry, man, but we're going to ride this out this one time. Like, I wouldn't go now, ooh, hey, I know this thing works. Let's keep it locked up in there and keep traveling with it. Like, the first time, no one knew. Now, you know. Like, yes. If another scenario came up like that, you better believe I'd go wrangle me one in some mushroom forest and throw it in that damn thing to go save those people if I had to.
Now, this just came to me, like right now as we're talking, not on my notes or anything. Do you think that the accident, in air quotes, that our studio audience can see me doing, do you think the accident on the Glen was computer-based, or do you think that the Ripper had been traveled with so much that he was like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna, like, if I fuck this up, I'll kill all of you?
Yeah, I think like something went wrong, and like I think it had been used too much, you know?
You think he caused it? It caused it? I would love that to be the fate.
Well, here's what I think happened. Like, okay, so I think they were throwing Ripper in that little containment cell one too many times, and I think one of the times they went to put him in, he broke out and all went to shit.
Right.
Like, you know, like, and like I said, or like they said in the show, it was not a predatory reaction, but like a defensive mechanism. This guy was like, you guys aren't throwing me in this fucking hole again. Like, it's not happening, right?
Right.
So, yeah, like,
it would be very cool in the next episode or in future episodes to find out that you gotta treat it nice for it to be cool to you. Like, it will, like, for them to find out that the accident on the Glen was directly caused by Ripper, like messing up their navigation. Like, that's where you have to figure out a better way to interface with him.
Yeah, well, I think that's why Michael's like on it, because she's gonna end up because she's the smartest person on that fucking ship.
Absolutely.
Like she's gonna end up coming up with something that allows her to like mind meld with it, or like, you know, it's, hey, we don't need to hook it up to this harness with like these 10,000 needles in it. We can just feed it these bugs and then put this head unit on it. You know, like something humane will happen.
Where is its brain?
Yeah,
let's just put some nodes on it and not deal with. Yeah, let's get close.
Okay, I figured it out, guys. Like, all we got to do is jack this alien off each time, and we're good to go. Like, we don't have to hurt it.
Oh, is that where we're going? We're going off the alien.
Dude, obviously, alien sex. Let's end it on that.
You heard it here first, folks. We're going to have to jack off the Ripper to then get ready to go nicely. Yes. And not get turned into a pool of human spin out.
And if you don't want to get shredded up by the Ripper,
if you don't want compound fractures and dental work all over yourself, just jerk them off a couple times. You'll be fine. It is streaming, and they do allow for some some liberties that aren't afforded to normal network television. So you never know. It could go there. I doubt it, but it may go there.
Yeah, I highly doubt that too. I mean, if that does happen, I'll probably stop watching that show too.
Like, I watched them jack off this giant slug. Like, I can't do this. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's limits.
I'd be like, you know, when you watch one of those videos and then you're just wondering why you're still watching the video. That's how I felt this whole episode.
Oh yeah. Okay. So to round out the episode, let's see, where are we at? So Voq gets left behind on the Shenzhou. He watches his ship get fixed. They take off as he's like realizing that he is left for dead. Krell, is her name? What did I say her name was? I got to scroll up and see my notes now. L'Rell materializes behind him. She's like, I don't have much time before they realize that I've gone. I've stolen a Raider, which is guessing a small shuttlecraft for the Klingons. She's like, we got to get out of here. she's like, I did everything I did to save your life. I'm sorry. That's the way it looks like. She's like, I'm going to
take her like by the face, like not
he's
by
like,
the throat.
I'm going to fucking.
Yeah. Like he didn't grab her by the throat. He didn't grab her by some normal way of grabbing a person he grabbed her by the jaw. Like he grabbed her by like the lower chin. He was like, I got you and I'm going to crush your face now.
Right. The part in all movies that involve a lower jaw being ripped off where I'm like, I can't watch this. Because I hate, there has been an influx of that in the last like 10 years of like showing like the lower jaw getting ripped off. And I'm like, I can't watch that. But yeah, that's the way he grabbed her. And then she's like, look, I did it to save your life. Like, let me take you with this ship I stole. Let's go back to House Mokai, which we know is her mother's side. Let me take you to the matriarchs. And she says, and I wrote this down, that who will expose you to things you never knew were possible. And he's like, okay, what do you, and she's like, but the cost is everything. And I was like, that right there, that plot line, I am super excited about. I have no clue what they're talking about.
It's gonna be like some kind of Cleon trials.
Well, I mean, that's
I don't even
not
know if that's a
unnormal. Thing. Oh, that's not unnormal. Trust me, that happens all the time. This is gonna be some shit we ain't never seen before. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be like some kind of ancient ass trials.
Yeah, something that so I am super stoked about seeing what she's taking him to, which we probably won't see. From what I see on the next we're not going to see it next episode, but it'll be down the road. But that story, that plot line, I am super excited about because they, as we've seen from the beginning, they're taking these Klingons where we've never seen them. New design. They're keeping a couple of things that are old school, but there's some stuff that we're going to see we've never seen before, and I am super excited about that. But yeah, so that's where we leave. That's where we leave Voq and L'Rell. We are back in Lorca's menagerie after the traveling that happened with Ripper, and she brings him some spores, and he is not as receptive as he was earlier when she introduced the spores to him the first time, so he is not happy.
Yep, he was like, nope, I know what you guys do now.
Like, you guys are not very nice to me, and I'm not going to come eat your spores. I'm so sorry. So
he's all like, we come in peace. He's like, goddamn, Cleons were right.
Like, they're fucking right. Those fucking Cleons are right. Exactly. So then we pick up at the very end. We are in Burnham and Tilly's quarters, and Tilly is telling her that the crew is aware of what Burnham did. Burnham is the one that allowed them to get to where they needed to go to save the people. So, she's like, you're going to have another reputation to live up to other than being a mutineer. You're going to have to live up to being a person that saves a bunch of lives. And, she's going to end up earning back a lot of the respect that she had originally had as a first officer. It's going to happen by the end of this show, at least, if not by the end of this season.
It'll happen ship-wide almost like immediately after this episode, but
right. And she'll fight it.
Yeah, she'll fight it, and then it'll be one of those things where like she'll finally accept it when guy who gets scared by imminent death is cool with her again.
Saru.
Yeah, imminent death, dude.
Which is definitely not at next episode, which I will go into in a minute.
No. I meant her, like, with everybody else on the ship, right? Like, they'll all be like, "Oh, I love you," and she's like, "No, remember, like last week I was a mutineer."
Yeah, I still suck. Leave me alone.
Yeah, she'll be all Eeyore about it, and then like finally, like she'll do something, and then Saru will like say some like life altering line of like, you're not all bad or some shit like that. And it'll be something super cheesy, like, you're not all bad. And she'll be like, oh, you're right. And then she'll accept it.
Right. Well, or maybe. But yeah, for sure. So you're absolutely right. And this, and that's what's going to make this season so like that arc will be fantastic, is her fighting the need to punish herself for what she's done, but also realize that really what she did was right. maybe not the right way, but her intentions have always been for the greater good, which is pretty much what Starfleet's entire idea is the greater good. But anyways, I digress. Back to the quarters. Tilly's like, hey, you have a new reputation to live up to. We also still learned that the stupid box is still fucking beeping. So like I said, no one has slept for nights. It's like the smoke alarm going off, like letting you know the battery is low. Like no one is sleeping. Tilly, after a certain amount of time, it convinces her, you need to open it. And we get Captain Georgiou giving her last will and testament speech, and you can tell it was definitely recorded before the mutiny. Because she's like, I'm sure you have your command. Like, no, you don't.
Yeah, that was, I was laughing about that. I was like, I wonder if that was just stuck in there as like a stinger.
You are so off. You are so off on this. Like you tell me the guy that didn't prepare this giant box with the lights in his house couldn't like edit that part out. Like, nah, you don't. You're not. We can just cut that part out.
He was reading the instructions and it was like, do not delete the recording.
Right. But Georgiou does say something to her at the very end of her speech. She says, take good care of those in your care. So that being combined with Saru's statement in the last episode about, I plan on taking care of my captain better than you took care of yours. We know that Burnham's goal in life is to preserve and protect as many as she can that are under her control or within her sphere, on the ship.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then we learned it's a telescope is what's in the box, which we've already talked about earlier. But that's what we learn. And, that's cool. It's fine. I'm not sure we're going to see it much, but because, it's something that was passed down, it's just reminding Burnham of where she was before all this happened.
Well, yeah, and like it's like a family thing, because What's-Her-Face didn't have any family.
Right. And
Michael's was kind of, I don't want to say like raised by her, but she's definitely a motherly figure to her.
Well, yeah, and then she even says in her will and testament that I see you as my daughter.
Yeah. Like you could definitely tell they're super close.
Right. So, it's definitely setting Burnham on her path for the rest of the season. Like, this entire season is going to be her redemption.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't really be surprised if Discovery gets a second season that we focus on someone else. This entire 13 episode arc could be just her redemption story, and they could stop, and we could all be happy with it, and we pick up with another person somewhere else, or whatever. Who knows? But we know that this whole season is going to be her redemption and her getting back in the good graces of herself for sure, and Starfleet. Herself, her crew, her captain, Starfleet, as the ladder goes up. But yeah, I can't see anyone who is a true fan of Star Trek and the mythos behind the idea of this universe being upset at this show. I still see it when I go on the internet and I go on Facebook and I go on Reddit. People are still complaining. I don't, especially with this episode, it was a Star Trek episode. This is exactly what I expect from a Star Trek show. You give me a problem, I solve it, I figure out a way to solve it, and then it's over at the end. So.
Well, that's just your problem. You went on the internet, man.
Well, we live and die by the internet right now when it comes to this podcast. So we got to have folks, I got to have interaction out there somewhere. And I just don't understand. I can understand being upset at the first few episodes because it wasn't real clear and it wasn't the way that it was normally presented to us in the original way. But, they've shown you they've shown you now that they can do a episodic style show. Like, hey, problem, find the solution, solve the solution, solve the problem. We're done. Like, it could be this show could stand anywhere, in the show, minus the fact they're just now learning how to use the Ripper. But other than that, it's where it is. So
yeah, but I don't think that show's gonna I think this show is gonna be very much written like Bones was. There's gonna be a plot that goes from 1 to 6 or 4 to 10, somewhere in there, and then there'll be 3 episodes that are just kind of throwaway episodes almost, but there'll be enough of something at the very end of it to further the big plot, I feel like.
Right. And yeah. I mean, it's just, I just can't believe all the hate that comes with this. I don't understand it. I love the fact that there is a Star Trek show that's on that we can complain about.
It's just because it's easy to hate, man, and
everybody loves their old school stuff. No one wants to expand it, but we know we're all watching it. Everybody who's listening to this podcast right now, who's bitching about it, is still watching the show.
Half the people that are watching it are probably sitting there by themselves watching the show and actually like it. But then as soon as they get in front of that keyboard and, someone disagrees with one thing or whatever, or it's, like I said, it's just easy to hate.
Very true. But it was a great episode.
Yeah, no, I liked it, man. I'm hooked on the show.
Oh yeah. And next week is going to be crazy. So real quick on the trailer we saw Lorca getting captured by somebody. We also this will be the episode with Harry Mudd on it, which according to Memory Alpha, which I just pulled up right now, so Harry Mudd is his full name is Harcourt Fenton Mudd, who is and I quote, notorious for being a con artist, essentially more of a lovable rogue than a true villain. He lived by his wits on the other side of the law. Mudd encountered the crew of the U.S. Enterprise on 3 different occasions. That was the original series. And animated series from what I'm seeing on here. But he is played by the guy from The Office. I can't remember his name. Do you know his name off the top of your head?
I don't know. Rainn Wilson?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that the guy with the glasses? Is that the guy with the glasses? Yeah. So Rainn Wilson is who plays Harry Mudd for Discovery. And there are a few Mudd episodes in the original series, which will be one of the ones that I make you watch whenever we do our giant Corey watch of Star Trek. But I could not have picked a better current person to play the character that we've seen back in the day. So we do see Lorca get captured. He's thrown in a cell with Harry Mudd because we've seen it in earlier seasons or earlier trailers that's who that is. And then we see Burnham and Saru going at it. They're going head to head. Saru wants to go rescue the captain. Burnham's like, I don't know how much more Ripper can take. So she's fighting for the animal rights, of course. And we see her questioning Saru, and Saru's getting crazy. I gave you an order, go do it. So he gets a little ballsy on it. So it's going to be a little bit of a tension episode again, or another tension episode between her and Saru. We see that Lorca is being tortured. He has the eye spreaders, like Clockwork Orange style eye spreaders. So some sort of torture is happening to him. Especially with his eye condition already, or maybe it could be a flashback to when he originally had the wound. I don't know, but we definitely know that they mess with his eyes, which we already know are fucked up. So, I'm kind of super excited about this episode, partially for Rainn Wilson / Harry Mudd, and partially for, the interaction with the crew without Lorca being around. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be a good time.
I mean,
they haven't put out a bad one yet, so I don't really think it'll be a bad time.
Yeah, the fact that it's hooking a non-Trekkie is what I love. I love that you are hooked and you're not a traditional Trekkie, and that makes a traditional Trekkie super happy, because there are some Trekkies that are mad about this show, but then we have the the ones of you that are actually watching it that love the show and are new to it, and that's fantastic. And I think it's great what they've done. So I'm going to kill this podcast. I'm going to go watch the After Trek for this current episode because I haven't watched it yet. And I want to see what they have to say about it. But yeah, any final thoughts about Star Trek Discovery, about American Horror Story, Corey? Anything going out the window?
No, I don't got anything. I think I pretty much said it all earlier.
Yeah,
dislike American Horror Story. I like Star Trek.
Yeah, and we've talked you guys here off long enough, so I'm sure your commute's already done. So we want to thank everybody once again for tuning in to our extra long episode. We only have a few more episodes of American Horror Story left, so they won't be this long forever. If you enjoy these, you're welcome. If you hate these, I'm sorry. We'll get back to one episode at a time, 45 minutes to an hour talking, depending on how Corey and I, want to delve off into our own personal views on things. But we want everyone to know that we appreciate each and every one of you that come in every week and listen to our show. We see it. I see it for sure because I track the analytics because I make sure people listen to our show. But we just want to thank every single one of you, the ones who are tuning in for the first time now. Please feel free to go back and listen to our old podcast. Those who have been with us from the beginning, super thank you, because you guys are what keep us going and what keep us coming back to the mic every week.
I don't have anything else to say after that, man. Like, you were just spot on right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and say goodbye and end it on that end it on that good note right there, because I will fuck it up.
I will wax poetic with that much bourbon in me for as long as I can go. So yeah, thank you everybody, and tune in next week. Feel free to tweet us at Two Dads Review. Hit us up on Facebook if you want to. I haven't mentioned this before, but we do have an email address. It's twodadsreview@gmail.com. If you really wanted just to have a personal one-on-one interaction, I will absolutely respond to you. Let me know how much you hate what we do, how much you love what we do. That's what we're here for. I've never mentioned the email address before, but I needed to sign up for a bunch of the websites that we have. So, it's out there.
Let's see how much weird stuff you start getting now.
Please don't send dick pics. Like, I don't want that.
You know what? No, you know what? No one was thinking that until you said it. Now everybody just went, I gotta send him a dick pic now.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. All right. Well, tune in next week. We will cover American Horror Story and Star Trek Discovery again. We will be with these shows until they are done. When they are done, if there's no good shows out, which is more than likely the fact because it will be the middle of November to December, Corey and I will start attending whatever the movie of the week is. We'll review that, or hey, we'll just get on here and talk about whatever the fuck we want to, and that's the way it goes. So we're hoping to, Star Trek comes out in December. We may have some good stuff going on then. Or not Star Trek, Star Wars comes out in December. So we'll have all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
I still gotta watch all the other ones first.
You really do. For Star Wars?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the new ones yet.
There's only one. I mean, there's two. I guess if you're
that's what I'm saying. I haven't watched the Rogue Story or the actual main story arc one either yet.
Tweet anybody on here still listening, tweet at Corey, who's at Slothbear35. Tell him exactly what he needs to watch for on the 2 Star Wars movies that have been out recently. But yes, Corey, you need to come over and watch those with me because those are fantastic.
Yeah, I can do that. That should be a problem.
All right, guys. Until next week. Thank you again. We'll talk to you then.
I love you guys later.